morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 4 and episode number 440, I believe it is, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Cryo Media Network. Today, recording day, is Monday, August 5th. 2024, and in many provinces across the country, it is a statutory holiday. Not all of them. I don't remember which ones off the top of my head, so I'm not going to single them out. But
it's actually a civic holiday in Ontario.
Yes.
And you know how it's called the civic holiday, but it's
Yes,
also,
it
that means it's not statutory, which also means that a lot of companies don't pay their employees for today.
Oh.
Yeah, found that out the hard way once. I went, why am I missing? I don't understand. I'm missing money on my check. And they go, well, what do you mean? I go, well, it's showing 8 hours less than what it should be. They go, no, that's right. I'm like, what do you mean it's right? That statutory holiday is a civic. So they go, no, it's a civic holiday. It's not statutory. We don't have to pay for that.
I'm very surprised because I thought like this.
Two companies I've worked for in my life have done that.
That's what I mean. That surprises me because like Saint Jean Baptiste on the 24th of June. Mm-hmm. This is our equivalent. This is the provincial one that we get.
Yes. Yeah. So it's not statutory in Ontario, which means a lot of companies just simply don't pay their employees today. So they can give you the option to come into work if you like. When everybody else is thinking it's the long weekend, and it is the long weekend, but you're just not getting paid for today by a lot of companies. Most companies are decent enough to go, we'll see this as like an extra little reward for our employees who have been working hard all year, and they put money aside so that they can cover payroll for that single day. It's like one bloody day. Reward your employees and pay them to have an extra day off because we all work our asses off. Anyway, I'm not going to go into diatribe. I'm unemployed right now, so.
I did not know that. You just taught me something.
Found that out the hard way.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because you go to pay your bills and you're like, I'm missing a few $100s from my check. It looks like a whole 8-hour shift was not paid. Why is that? Oh, I'll tell you why.
Wow. I really did not know that.
A lot of people don't.
All right.
And they find out the difficult way.
Yeah. So, I got something here. It says it's called Regatta Day in Newfoundland, Terry Fox Day in Manitoba, Saskatchewan Day in Saskatchewan, British Columbia Day in BC, Natal Day. I'm guessing it's Natal and not Natal. Day in Nova Scotia and PEI, Simcoe Day in Toronto, New Brunswick Day in New Brunswick, Colonel By Day in Ottawa, Heritage Day in Alberta, Joseph Brant Day in Burlington, Benjamin Vaughan Day in the city of Vaughan. And I believe that's all the provinces. But no, there must be other provinces or territories. Isn't there at least one territory which it's a
I believe so.
Special day as well, which is not listed here. But yeah. Oh, well. Interesting. Huh. You've taught me something. I'm your host, The eager beaver pronouns he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And it's a wet one here at the Beaver Lodge.
Was it
According to the
raining?
Weather Network, yeah. There's right now it's not currently raining, but the whole ground is wet. But there's like over 60% chance of precipitation. At least when I went to bed up until 7 o'clock today. So it's going to be a wet one, unless the weather report has changed since I've since I've gone to bed.
It hasn't started here yet.
No,
By
it's
the
wet.
yeah, it's going to rain. You can feel it, but it hasn't started yet.
I'm your host, the eager beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, and as you can all hear, with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Misfit Mysteries from Corbin Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. Mr. Grizzly, good sir, how's your mental health doing this fine holiday Monday?
It's not wonderful, but that's only because I was watching a movie last night and I fell asleep with about 20 minutes left in it on the couch. So I got up and went to bed. And that was around 10 o'clock, 10:20, something like that. Crawled into bed. Woke up at 1:45, wide awake, and laid there till about 3:30 and thought, this is stupid. So I just went to the couch, turned on the TV, fell back to sleep around 4, and then Lola jumped on me at 5:30. So I'm not
a lot of sleep and a broken night.
Yeah, exactly. So I can guarantee you I'll be taking a nap right after we sign off today.
Good morning to the kits who have joined us. Kit Elaine. Good morning, my dear. Kit Argo C. Acres. Hello. Kit Fim. Hello, my dear. Lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Kit Saucy, Kit Mr. Jim, Kit Linda M, Kit PNC Bio. Good morning to all of you. Taffy G. Hello, my dear. So lovely to see you this morning. Yes, Kit Lane, we are closing in on 5,000 subscribers. Woohoo! We're still growing. That's a good thing. Good morning to you as well, Cassie. Lake says, who tells us it's Terry Fox Day in Manitoba. Kit Saucy says, Natal Day for Nova Scotia is our day to celebrate the Navy. I think the Navy started in Halifax or the main port for them. So, but I need Hugh to confirm, she says. So there you go. Thank you for the additional info. See, our kits and cubs teach us something too. That's why we love the damn fam, because they're the best damn fam in all of podcasting. They're smart, they're clever, they're fashionable, they're fierce, they're funny. And they have, well, if I do say so myself, most exceptionally good taste. Anyway.
Where do you want to begin this morning? There's a lot to cover.
Let's start with, there's one piece of international news that is kind of important before we get on to some local stuff out in Bangladesh, if anybody has heard. Actually, there's two pieces of big international news. The leader of Bangladesh, Prime Minister, has resigned after a 15-year rule. There had been thousands of people protesting, and that had defied a military curfew, and they essentially stormed her official residence, according to CTV News. It says, shortly after local media showed the embattled leader, her name is Sheikh Hasina, boarding a military helicopter with her sister, Bangladesh's military chief, General Wakar-uz-Zaman, apologies for pronunciation here, announced plans to seek the president's guidance on forming an interim government. He promised that the military would stand down and to launch an investigation into the deadly crackdowns that fueled outrage against the government and asked citizens for time to restore peace. Quote, keep faith in the military. We will investigate all the killings and punish the responsible. I have ordered that no army and police will indulge in any kind of firing. Now, the students' duty is to stay calm and help us, he had. The protests began peacefully as frustrated students demanded an end to a quota system for government jobs. So this has been going on for a little bit now, because I've been hearing it on the news, but it was just protests, so I hadn't reported it because I didn't know what was going to happen. And frankly, let's be honest, right? There's not many of us in Canada that are all that familiar with Bangladesh and what's going on. So I wouldn't have had much to add other than just reporting what happened. But this is a big change. So it seems that, like I said, there was a quota system for government jobs based on, like if you think of it at Harvard, for example, what they call legacy students. So if your parents went to Harvard like this, if you were a child, you get like a leg up because you're the child of someone who went to Harvard. This was people that had served in the military at some point, at some time. Their children had first dibs on government jobs. And I'm guessing that some of the students had decided, well, okay, but it's like been quite a while now. So, maybe we should restore that. But they had the demonstrations morphed into a challenge. And this is unprecedented in Bangladesh, and an uprising against Hasina and her ruling Awami League Party. The government had attempted to quell the violence with force, leaving nearly 300 people dead and fueling further outrage and calls for Hasina to step down. Yeah, you know what? I don't know governments, but when people protest you, deciding to kill the protesters very rarely works out well for the government in the end. At least 95 people, including 14 police officers, died clashes in the capital on Sunday, according to the city's leading Bengali language daily newspaper, Prothom Alo. Hundreds were injured in the violence. At least 11,000 people had been arrested in recent weeks. The unrest has also resulted in the closure of schools and universities across the country, and authorities at one point imposed a shoot-on-sight curfew.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I understand. That's the point at which the concept of, there's only one prime minister, but there are so many of us. The population of Bangladesh is 171 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's 171 million of us, and there's one of you. You might not want to decide to shoot on sight. That might not be a wise decision. Oh boy. Over the weekend, protesters called for a, quote, non-cooperation effort, urging people not to pay taxes or utility bills and not show up for work on Sunday, a working day in Bangladesh. Offices, banks, and factories opened, but commuters in Dhaka and other cities faced challenges getting to their jobs. Hasina offered to talk with student leaders on Saturday, but a coordinator refused and announced a one-point demand for her resignation. One-point demand. Are we clear? Hasina repeated her pledges to investigate the deaths and punish those responsible for the violence. She said she was ready to sit down whenever the protesters want. Authorities shut off mobile internet on Sunday in an attempt to quell the unrest. While the broadband internet was cut off briefly Monday morning, it was the second internet blackout in the country after the protests turned deadly in July. On Monday, after 3 hours of suspension of broadband services, both broadband and mobile internet returned. Hasina had said protesters who engaged, quote, in sabotage and destruction were no longer students but criminals, and she said the police should deal with them with iron hands. The 76-year-old was elected for a fourth consecutive term in a January vote that was boycotted by her main opponents, triggering questions over how free and fair the vote was. Thousands of opposition members were jailed in the lead-up to the polls, which the government defended as democratically held. Today, she is the longest-serving leader in the history of Bangladesh. Well, no longer, I guess, a predominantly Muslim nation of over 160 million people strategically located between India and Myanmar. Oh, this says, did I say 120? No, 171.
Yeah, 71.
Yeah. Her political opponents have previously accused her of growing increasingly autocratic and called her a threat to the country's democracy, and many now say the unrest is the result of her authoritarian streak and hunger for control at all costs. I'm guessing that the 160 million in the report is probably based on the last census, and the number that I have is probably like with Worldometer or something that tries to estimate what it would be today at the current moment. Bangladesh, isn't that where the Joe Fresh factory collapsed? Asks Vim. I believe that is indeed the case. Vim. I will double check that, but I do believe that. Because Bangladesh does have a big international reputation for being one of the nations where these clothes are made rather cheaply. That's going on there. In the UK.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
For those who haven't seen, This tweet from Brendan Cox. The scenes in Rotherham aren't a protest. They aren't even a far-right riot. They are an ongoing attempt to murder the men, women, and children inside by burning them alive. The stench of these days will hang around those who incited and justified it for the rest of their lives. And I'm going to scan down here. This is a screenshot from a Holiday Inn Express in Rotherham that they tried to burn down. They literally tried to light it on fire.
Yeah.
And who is at the heart of it all? Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson.
Yep, exactly. Now, here's the thing and this I learned this last week. Again, didn't have a chance to bring it to you, but yeah, last I heard, Tommy Robinson was on Canadian soil, detained. I don't know when the hell it was he was released because it never made the news.
No, it didn't, and he's back in the UK.
Yes, he was back in the UK. He went there to participate in one thing, and it seems that he had a court case about 7 days ago, and he left the UK on the eve of the court case. So he is literally a fugitive now from the United Kingdom. A senior judge has issued according to the BBC, a senior judge has issued an arrest warrant for far-right campaigner Stephen Yaxley Lennon, better known by his alias Tommy Robinson, after learning he has left the country on the eve of a major legal case against him. Yaxley Lennon left the UK by a Eurotunnel train, that would be Sunday, a week ago, night, despite having been arrested by Kent police under the counter-terrorism powers. The 41-year-old had been due in court on Monday for allegedly breaching an order not to repeat lies about a Syrian refugee. Put a pin in Syrian refugee because it relates to the story about the place being burned. Mr. Justice Johnson has ordered the warrant not to be carried out, quote, until early October to give Yaxley Lennon the time to confirm he would attend the next hearing voluntarily. I do not know why they keep on giving these people chances. I understand about due process, but you know what type of person he is. His departure from the UK comes after thousands of his followers gathered in central London on Saturday in his support. In July 2021, Syrian teenager Jamal Hijazi won $100,000 in damages in a major defamation battle against Yaxley Lennon, who had falsely accused him of being a violent thug, claims that spread across social media. A judge ordered him never to repeat the lies, but last year he began repeating his claims, including a film distributed online, which I believe was the reason for which he was back in the UK to sort of promote it. Yaxley Lennon was ordered 6 weeks ago to come to the High Court on Monday to answer the allegation that he had ignored the judge's order, a serious offense known as contempt of court. Adam Pater, representing the Solicitor General, told government minister who oversees contempt of court allegations, a week ago, told Mr. Justice Johnson that despite Yaxley Lennon knowing of this morning's case, he played the film again to his supporters on Saturday. The barrister said his public showing had been a flagrant and admitted breach of the court order not to repeat the false claims. On Sunday, the founder of the English Defence League went to the Channel Tunnel terminal at Folkestone, where police officers stopped him under counter-terrorism powers. When he allegedly refused to cooperate, he was arrested and held until 10 p.m. before being released. Why? On unconditional bail. Why? And leaving the country. Mr. Pater said, "We understand he failed to cooperate with the port stop and search." Really? You didn't think that was going to happen? The guy respects nothing and no one. The guy traveled to other countries on other people's passport while a convicted felon. Did you really think he was going to show up for court if you released him on his own damn recognizance? What is wrong with you people? Why?
Why?
Mr. Pater said, "We understand he failed to cooperate with the port stop and search. The implication is he was attempting to leave the country and therefore was not intending to attend this hearing this morning. The information that we have is that he is not within the jurisdiction of the United Kingdom. He has been spending significant time outside the UK since being served with the contempt application on 13th of June. He returned for the purpose of publishing the film and sought to immediately leave the jurisdiction." Just like in and out. In and out. No. Can't catch me, basically. The court heard the police officers who had held Yaxley Lennon had no power to stop him leaving the UK. Mr. Justice Johnston said he was, quote, entirely satisfied that the contempt of court application should proceed in Yaxley Lennon's absence. The judge issued an arrest warrant to detain the activist if by October he has returned to the UK but continues to refuse to cooperate. That decision to delay executing the warrant was to give him an opportunity to return and explain why he had failed to attend this morning's hearing or to apply to have it set aside. If Yaxley Lennon does not return, the case will be heard in his absence after the 28th of October and could lead to a jail sentence. Now,
overdue, if you ask me.
Yeah. Now, the reason why this, I'm telling you to pay attention with regard to the fact that I mentioned a refugee. It's because, well, according to the news, police in the English town of Tamworth, near Birmingham, this is according to CBC, say a group of rioters targeting a hotel housing asylum seekers. They're targeting a hotel housing asylum seekers. Authorities say the protesters are smashing windows, starting fires, and targeting police. This follows a similar attack earlier on Sunday in the northern town of Rotherham, which you showed us pictures of, Mr. Grizzly. There's an anti-immigrant mob that threw bottles and fence posts, lit a fire inside the hotel, which was quickly put out. Heated scenes also played out in the small towns of Bolton, Hull, and Weymouth. In Middlesbrough, a mob set fire to an overturned car. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer had this to say, quote, about the violent demonstrations which have been happening for days across the country. I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. According to Anna Cunningham, who's with the London Bureau of the CBC, she was asked by the person interviewing her that there was says like, this is some strong language from the new Prime Minister of the UK. What do you make of that? She said, this is really interesting. I think the fact that he has actually today called out the violence that we've been seeing over the weekend as being actions of the far right. Remember, this is a new government. It's the left Labour government. And Keir Starmer has, in fact, only been the Prime Minister for about 4 weeks, and he's now facing his first major challenge. What we're hearing from him is words where he is not skirting around the issue. We do know that although these protests are not led or even organized by one single group, there are several elements of known far-right activists and sympathizers who appear to have got involved. But also what we've witnessed is the real use of social media stoking these riots. Firstly, with the widespread misinformation or disinformation really about the identity of that Southport suspect, falsely claiming he was an asylum seeker. So this stems from the fact that I believe there was an attack on 3 girls at a birthday party. And I guess the person that did it, from what I can understand here, I guess started a rumor that he was an asylum seeker. But the person was actually born
right
in the UK, which led to Tommy Robinson running with that and everybody saying, oh my God, look, these asylum seekers killed 3 of our white people. Let's go get them.
He's such an intolerant piece of shit.
Which led to this. There are some people who have been out on the streets protesting who have said, look, we're only here to voice our concerns about immigration. It doesn't mean that we are a member of far-right groups. They are calling themselves patriots instead. But I think in terms of that view coming directly from the Prime Minister in Downing Street, he has called this out as far-right violence. Of course, he is vowing that all rioters will be prosecuted. The last time that the UK saw riots this large was in 2011 when Starmer was the head of the Crown Prosecution Services. Quote, what we can glean from how we handled those riots then and what might happen now, it is interesting because given he is new to the job of Prime Minister, it hasn't been missed that he doesn't in fact have experience when dealing with large-scale disorders. The reporter then asked, you mentioned the 2011 riots. They were in London, and in fact, he oversaw extended quotas to process the number of prosecutions, and British ministers we know have met with members of the judiciary and police chiefs to discuss this possibility again. That possibility of triggering what's called the Additional Courts Protocol. It wouldn't be a surprise now if, as Prime Minister, he does advocate under the current situation for those fast-track courts to be in place. And as you say, these are all going on if police are unable to quell these mobs in the next few days. And then she asks, what other options does the UK government have? And the reporter states that that's a big question. And there's one more extreme and rather rare measure that the British government does have, and it includes plans for armed military personnel to be deployed in support of the police. That's always a tricky one, particularly with the white supremacist group, because that's the same thing here in Ottawa for the protests, right? Not the protests, the occupation. People were saying, like, why don't you send in the military? Because you don't send in the military to do policing, particularly with antagonist, accelerationist groups who simply do want the video showing that the state is putting the military against them, and then they can say that they have war It's always a bad choice. But she says, but the issue with that is that once again, there could be a public backlash to it but I think certainly at the moment with the situation as it is, it may be one option that could be possibly being discussed by the British government as that violence continues. According to BBC, at least 10 police officers were injured during the demonstrations. This is from August 4th, yesterday, around 8:39 p.m. At least one car was overturned and set on fire in Middleborough, which we reported. Burning wheelie bins were pushed towards officers as the group marched through the town. Around 300 people gathered to protect a mosque in the town. Police contained around 400 protesters from opposing sides who were gathered on a Weymouth seafront. One person had been arrested there. The stabbing happened in Scotland, and their First Minister John Swinney had warned against, quote, the unhelpful speculation surrounding the identity of a man who allegedly stabbed a 21-year-old woman in the central Scottish city of Stirling on Saturday. So this might be an additional stabbing that happened somewhere else, because the story that I heard involved 3 girls and not a 21-year-old woman here. She was treated in hospital for non-life-threatening injuries, and a 29-year-old man had been arrested. Social media rumors promoted by EDL founder Tommy Robinson suggested the attacker was Muslim. Police in Scotland have said that these claims are false, and in quite an unusual move for the force, have confirmed the man arrested is white and from the local area. Swinney says the incident is isolated, but his predecessor, Humza Yousaf, is now urging Prime Minister Starmer to call in the army to try and quell some of the violence. Yeah. That is
bad and not getting any better. And Tommy Robinson is to blame for all of it, along with the Daily Mail and Nigel Farage, because the Daily Mail has been stoking this hatred for decades.
And this is why I'm surprised here on this one, because this one says the stabbing of a 21-year-old woman in Scottish city of Stirling, and then this report that I heard this morning from the CBC says they're angry over the killing of 3 young girls at a dance event last week. So I'm guessing that they're just taking any incidents of violence against someone and they're saying Muslim refugees did it. Get them.
Of course they are.
Whatever that movement is doing. Wow. I think that this is another quote from Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who said, there can never be any excuse for trying to burn to death 200 of the most vulnerable. Oh, no, that's Mayor Oliver Coppens, of the Northern County of South Yorkshire, who, according to reports, is still in disbelief. He says that was a concerted effort by protesters to burn down a hotel housing asylum seekers, and there were about 700 people there that were smashing windows. So, I mean, it really was a mob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Jeez. Tiffany Lynch from the Police Federation said that during the direct attack, street furniture was being used. I mean, they just grabbed anything that they could put their hands on. It's this movement, and it's global because they're all helping each other out, right? Tommy Robinson comes over here, Rebel Sponsor gets him out of jail, and so they're all, whatever that money that's going around, that's helping how it circulates and all the buttons that they're pushing. It's international, right? It's not just local.
No, and it's all part of the IDU movement, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, they've got their fingers all over this.
Mm-hmm. So, this is it's pretty ugly, and this is, like I said, this is the stochastic stuff that the Conservatives are promoting here. They're not saying go out and hurt people yet. You know, we're a little more of a multicultural country, so it's a little harder to make stick here. But that's what's going on. That's what's going on.
It's really bad. This is like the Kristallnacht in 1931, Germany, 29 or 31. when after they had the beer hall push, and then they had the Kristallnacht, and Kristallnacht is what this basically is. They're doing the same thing, but instead of targeting Jewish people, they're targeting immigrants now.
Yeah, 1938.
38.
And over here, it's the, like the protests against what's going on in Gaza. It's like, they're not Canadian citizens, send them back. That's where it starts, right?
Yeah. It doesn't start with gas chambers. It starts there and works its way up.
Send them back, don't let them in, and and then it's, oh well, they're brown, so they must not be Canadian citizens. Send them back. Like, go back to where you come from, but I was born here.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't look like one of us.
They don't care.
And then it escalates from there and there. So we're at about level 1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where they want to go. That's where this bunch wants to go. That's where they want to take us. They didn't create they didn't propose the barbaric cultural practices snitch line because they were saying, welcome refugees. Hey, people who are not white, we need a special 911 just for you. Right? So yeah, that undercurrent is here too. That's where they would like to stoke our anger to become like this. And unfortunately, we have to show that we're better than that.
Well,
unfortunately,
I'd like to say we're better than that, but we're not. We have members of parliament who are.
Yeah.
The only member, let me rephrase that. One of the few members of parliament that I had a scintilla of respect for, who I thought was progressive and has said progressive things in the past, but she was really acting oddly this past weekend, and that's MRG, Michelle Rempel-Garner.
Yeah.
Candidate, or the member of Oak-Alberta.
Yep. Michelle Rempel-Garner saw what happened to Alain Reyes, saw what happened to Karen Vecchio, and I guess she decided that after all the years that she's in Parliament, that's still not enough, that she should move on to another part of her career, because she too didn't support PP. So I guess she has decided that she's going to fall in line.
It certainly seems that way. For those of you who are unaware, what she did this past weekend was take photographs of the Prime Minister dressed up on Halloween, when he was in India, when he was at a cultural fest in, I think it was Markham, and he's dancing. And then, of course, when he was openly weeping about the death of Gord Downie, his friend, somebody that millions of Canadians cried about because we all felt attached to Gord Downie, those of us who wept. And she's saying, live by the weird, die by the weird, weirdo. So let me see if I get this correct, Michelle. You're making fun of the Prime Minister who is weeping at the death of a friend of his. Lady, have you no empathy, no compassion, no decency? You have lost the plot completely.
Whether she has any of those or not, doesn't matter. She wants the nomination. She doesn't want to be run out.
Yeah.
She sees it. She sees the purge happening.
Mm-hmm. She's just fighting to keep her job. So disappointing. She has her moments when she shows that she can be progressive.
Yeah, but no. We can't have that.
No.
It's the PP Purity Party now.
Yes. Yeah,
it's the PP Purity Party now. And she saw how them got theirs. So, kids and cubs, when I keep on saying, don't vote for assholes, weirdo assholes do stuff like take a picture of someone who's weeping because someone who's a national treasure and was a close personal friend has passed away, and then tries to reframe that as a negative in order to diminish someone. Perhaps don't vote for people who mock people who mourn. That might be a good baseline. Don't vote for assholes.
Don't vote for assholes. Don't vote for those who would literally. So and here's the toxicity of that. So we're trying to tell men it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to express feelings and have feelings and let us know when you're hurting. And very clearly, the Prime Minister was hurting because he lost a friend, someone he cared about very deeply. And they're making fun of him for showing emotion. So the toxicity of that, Ms. Garner, is off the charts. You are making fun of a man who is hurting. You are making fun of a man because he's weeping over the death of a friend, which then sends the message that men have to be quiet and stoic and cannot feel. You realize the mental health ramifications from your actions, Ms. Garner? What is wrong with you, lady? You need to go to a therapist right now and examine what you did this past weekend. Because if you're only doing this to save your hide and keep your job, you are not worth it. Your
And you're
job
not
is
worthy
not
of the
worth it.
job.
You're not worthy of it either. You're throwing any shred of decency you had in the toilet to score a point for your dear exalted leader, who, as we all know, is a fucking narcissist. Oh, I gotta calm down. I'm on a roll right now, dude. I am pissed.
Yeah, just like that committee where the three mean girls of the Conservative Party set it up in order to exploit the misery and the pain and the tragedy of survivors of domestic abuse. Right? Like, what is the problem with these people? And just kids and cubs, we talked about last week Tracy Foran, if you'll put this up, Mr. Grizzly, to remind the kits and cubs when we're talking about the lack of empathy. Remember this?
Mm-hmm. Maggie May. I was providing palliative care to my late husband during COVID. I couldn't access palliative care from healthcare workers because we were on shutdown. I took care of him, gave him his morphine, spoke to our doctor each day, sent the doc an Excel graph of when he needed morphine. And Tracy Foran, and this was not even addressed to Tracy Foran. She just jumped into the commentary and said, "Oh, please do tell me how you are better than me. I beg to be enlightened."
The lack of empathy, stunting on people.
The lack of compassion, the lack of basic humanity.
Yep. This is stunting on people. I'm sharing something. Oh, you think you're better than me? Somebody's mourning someone. Oh my God, look at this weirdo crying in public. Stunting on people for points, for clicks, to perform for an audience of one. Not caring who you hurt.
She sold her soul. That's it. She is available to the highest bidder, it would seem, because she's trying to keep her job, because she doesn't care about anything else, obviously.
Nope.
I thought she was one of the few progressives in the party. Michael Chong has disappointed us. Scott Aitchison has disappointed us.
Yep.
She has disappointed us once again.
So here we are. So this was the first one.
Mm-hmm. It's with
weird. A thread. Categories: performative nonsense during a cost of living crisis.
It's Halloween.
Halloween. Probably not. And I would guess since Catherine McKenna's in the picture, it was before the cost of living crisis started, because I believe she quit politics before this.
Yes.
Kind of stuff.
She did.
And then, yeah. Live by the weird, die by the weird. Weirdo.
I just don't get it.
And then,
and then she has
of course,
to do
the blackface.
Yeah.
Just got to throw in some blackface, right? Just a little casual racism, because no, there's no way that there are black people in Canada like this who haven't seen this photo like for the 1 millionth time now.
They keep regurgitating
at the hands,
that.
Regurgitating being the key word here.
Mm-hmm. Constantly.
And then Robin Urbach had a great article with regard to that. I think I should read in because Robin Urbach, she's hit or miss.
Yeah, she is.
But when she's on, she's on. Hillary Clinton. Sorry, I'm going to have to bring this onto this screen actually because it's written a little small for me.
You'll have to blow it up.
Yeah, here we go. Hillary Clinton tried all sorts of acrimonious attacks against Donald Trump when the two were vying for the White House back in 2016. Mr. Trump was a bad role model for children, she implied in one ad. He raised the specter of nuclear war, she warned in another. He said disgusting things about women, insulting things about veterans, racist things about black people, and he would destroy American democracy. They were all variations on the theme, one that the US President Joe Biden's team would resuscitate 8 years later. Mr. Trump was a bad person, and his leadership posed an existential threat to America. The message didn't work for Miss Clinton though of course there were other factors at play during that election campaign. But efforts to revive it again early in Mr. Biden's campaign came off as even more flaccid. For one, the messenger couldn't sort the order of his words properly enough to tell people what they should be afraid of, but it also didn't carry with it the same fear of the unknown that it had in 2016. American democracy lived through a Trump presidency and it survived, worse for wear, but intact. There is a legitimate case to be made that a second Trump presidential term will be catastrophically worse, but convincing people of that, which requires they lend the messenger a certain degree of attention, patience, and consideration, is a tough thing to do. That's one of the reasons why the Democrats' new line of attack against Mr. Trump and his political cavalry is so effective. Everyone knows innately what weird looks and sounds like. It's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, saying that he and his son monitor each other's porn usage.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's weird. Particularly since his son wasn't even 18, I believe, at the time. It's like, really? You're assuming that... Anyway.
You seem weird.
Yeah. It's like, the message didn't work for it's Rudy Giuliani, then attorney to Mr. Trump, holding a news conference about the 2020 election fraud at a place called Four Seasons Total Landscaping instead of the Four Seasons Hotel. Yeah, that was weird. Between a crematorium and a dildo shop.
Mm-hmm.
Or between a cock and a charred place. Sorry. Instead of it's Montana Republican Representative Matt Rosendale trying to roll back funding for in vitro fertilization because he sees it as morally wrong. It's Mr. Trump's pick for Vice President J.D. Vance joking about how Democrats would say drinking a Diet Mountain Dew is racist, and repeatedly taunting or ranting about sociopathic childless cat ladies. Mr. Vance is the catalyst the Democrats needed to land their message. Mr. Trump has always been a deeply bizarre figure to the point that most of us have become inured to his destructive eccentricities, but he is an authentic type of odd that he seems to come across as genuine. Mr. Vance, by comparison, is a clear phony who flipped his views on Trumpism 180 degrees when he ran for the Ohio Senate. He has an arrogance that appears to compensate for a deep insecurity, which he deals with by telling a lot of lame jokes to try to impress his new friends. He's uncomfortable to watch, awkward and insincere, a fresh-faced weirdo who reminds us that, hey, the rest of these guys are pretty weird too. The Republicans don't own weird, of course. They have tried to flip the script on Democrats, pointing out, for example, how they will specify which pronouns they use upon introduction. The tactic might have worked if Republicans had pushed the weird message first, but the responding, defensive, and clearly feeling wounded, weird, it seems, is working. It's like, yeah, call me a racist, call me a deplorable, call me like this, I'm fine. But call me weird? I've got big feelings. The reason why this line of attack is so effective against this crop of Republicans is not simply because it's true. Delegates at the Republican National Convention wore fake ear bandages in tribute to their leader, after all, and easy to understand, but because it's diminishing. The Clinton and Biden messages were unintentionally ally positive. They implored Americans to fear Mr. Trump, a process that implicitly gave him some degree of credibility and power. If you're asking me, to fear someone is to give them, to fear someone is to give them power over you, which is exactly the type of situation in which Mr. Trump thrives. To call him weird, however, does the opposite. I hate it when people laugh at me. I hate it. I hate it.
Talk
It's
about
belittling.
skin.
Yes, it's belittling and deprecating, and not in the directly disparaging way that Miss Clinton did by calling Mr. Trump's supporters deplorables, but by making them into a little joke. That air of mirth robs Republicans of the opportunity to turn it into a rallying cry as they did with deplorables, and instead puts them on the defensive, trying to insist that no, the other guys are the ones who are the weirdos. For the Democrats, whose campaign got a clear boost of energy, enthusiasm, and positivity when Kamala Harris replaced Mr. Biden on the ticket, the message has become an empowering one. We're not scared of you, just a bit weirded out. And it's left Republicans fuming, aghast that the people in Whoville are still singing despite all their efforts. When the Democrats were scared of them, Republicans retained a certain power, but now that they're laughing at them, well, they've become a joke. The problem with now conservatives in Canada, well, they saw the weird thing. And they see, like, if you type Polyev is, the hashtag fills itself up. Polyev is weird. Conservatives are weird. CPC, so weird. The Wacko Party, Wacko Conservatives, right? All that kind of stuff. So they're trying to hit it off at the pass before it sticks too hard. So they're coming out and trying to, here's the Prime Minister weird. Problem is that when you're the first to call people weird, they go, we're not weird. You're the weird ones. Well, they do it in ways that make them look weirder. Mocking someone who cries because somebody died, that's objectively weird. It's not a good counter. You look weird doing it. Circulating a blackface photo, you look weird.
Yes.
Telling people, well, you cared for your husband. I guess you think you're better than me. Weird. You have an interview with a journalist and you say, like, you're the leader of the opposition, and they ask you about Diagolon. Diagolon, what's this? What's this? I don't know what this is. When Trump was at the National Association of Black Journalists, they asked him about DEI. DEI, what's DEI? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Yeah, but what is it? What is it? Tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. What is it? Give me a definition. What is it? Same thing he did on the debate, right? Definition. And then they said, well, the Proud Boys. Oh, Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But he pretended he didn't know what it was. They know what it is. They know what it is. And that leads us to the bit of weirdness from Pierre Poilievre. Because, well, he was in Sudbury, I believe, or at least in Northern Ontario. He's been doing a tour there. And, well, he gave an interview to a local newspaper, Sudbury.
That's not an interview.
No, I know that. But he gave one to Sudbury.com. And then again, in that interview, he did the thing that PP usually does with a small interview. He was asked again about, extremism and all that kind of stuff. And, he did the thing that he does all the time. What extremist? When? When did I say that? Show me. And again, journalists, come on, man. He has been doing this for over a year and a half now. If you're gonna go and if you get a media opportunity with him and you're gonna ask him the question about him supporting that, you know what he does. So come with a date that he did it. Come with a time. Come with a phone loaded with video clips. Show him. On this particular date, you said, ask him the question. Don't ask him. A lot of people say that like this. Well, who says that? Just say, sit there and ask him. Say, what do you think about Diagolon?
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask a question that has that lasts an hour.
Well,
just ask him a question.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
that's a lie. He knows exactly what it is because they threatened to do bad things to his wife. He called them out the next day, and the leader of Diagolon, Jeremy McKenzie, was arrested soon after. Yes. So a man who 22 months ago had one moment after a few days, because people at first he tried to keep it quiet,
of saying, hey, don't say that about my wife, and then called the RCP and said, look into this. 22 months later, cannot remember. The people who joked aloud wasn't a joke. That his wife possibly should be raped. And my, wouldn't that be fun and entertaining?
We're going to have to cut that out.
Hmm?
We're going to have to cut that segment out. YouTube will nail us for it. You can't say that word on YouTube anymore.
Raped.
Yes. People lose their shit when you say it. You have to say SA. I'm not joking. People lose their minds. I know.
That's what they joked about.
Yes, that's what they joked about. We're just reporting on a fact.
It was not a joke.
No.
They meant it. A man who cannot remember 22 months later, people who joked about violating
his wife, sexually assaulting his wife against her will,
is weird.
Yeah. You don't remember
it's
that?
Super weird. Crazy weird. So, according to this interview, PM in extremis, according to Pierre Poilievre. This is from Jenny Lamotte from Sudbury.com. Justin Trudeau, according to the federal conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, quote, is an, quote, extremist and someone who has, quote, dressed up in racist costumes so many times he can't remember them all. Poilievre spent much of his time during an August 2nd interview with Sudbury.com talking about his political opponent rather than what he's going to do for you or to you. After speaking for close to 10 minutes in the hot sun as 50 supporters gathered at Manitoulin Transport and Lively, Poilievre repeated several slogans that are now standard in his campaign and merchandise sold on his website. For rising costs, work doesn't pay, you make it, Trudeau takes it. Poilievre's promotion of trade schools over universities is boots, not suits. And he said of hunting rifle bans, I want to protect Canadians from criminals. Trudeau wants to protect turkeys from hunters. He also offered jail not bail in reference to his tough on crime initiatives. At the event, Sudbury.com was given 5 minutes to speak with Poilievre, as were other local media outlets. We began by asking them about the numerous publications that have spoken of Poilievre's interaction with groups seen as supporting extremist right-wing views. Looking to find out what those critics were getting wrong, we were able to say, those who are not supporting you accuse you of flirting with the extreme right, before Poilievre interrupted. So the question was going to be, those who are not supporting you accuse you of flirting with the extreme right. What are your critics getting wrong? But he didn't let them get there. He just saw extreme right ring and boom. What do you mean? Before Poilievre interrupted to ask, what do you mean? When Sudbury.com spoke of his interactions with groups that include Diagonal, which was recently in Sudbury, he asked, what is that? I don't know what that is. We explained, it's a group labeled by the RCP, OPP, and Canadian government as extremist. Poilievre said, this is an example of gaslighting by NDP liberal extremists who are trying to convince the people that they're wrong. Justin Trudeau, Mr. Blackface, who's dressed up in racist costumes so many times he can't remember them all, would like to tell single mom that she's racist because she can't and doesn't want to pay his carbon tax. They want to call him the trucker racist because he can't afford a home and that he's not supporting them, he said. What?
This man is unhinged.
That's a weird interaction.
Very.
That's weird. Sudbury.com told him that he wasn't quite answering the question. He responded, I know what you're speaking of. Well, this is what I'm speaking of. Weird.
This man should not be anywhere near the reins of power.
Normally a conversation goes, I say something, you take into account what I say, and then you give me something back. Not, I say something, and it's like, yeah. It's like, Mr. Poilievre, how's the weather today? I like cake.
He's a
That's weird.
A smug, smarmy narcissist.
Mr.
An
Poilievre.
Anti-intellectualist.
Mr. Poilievre, what's your tax policy? Justin Trudeau wears blackface.
Yeah, that's
weird.
Not a policy.
Weird.
So following his
Hold on. We're not done yet with this one. But right. He said he wanted to address extremism. Quote, I'm addressing the extremism we have in Canada, and that extremism is a prime minister who says he admires the basic Chinese communist dictatorship, who says he admires Fidel Castro, who's passing censorship laws that Margaret Atwood, have you heard of her? She says that it's creeping totalitarianism. That's Margaret Atwood. So what? She's an extremist? Put the reporter on the back foot, start to question them, turn the tables, as Pierre always does. Because he then asked, out of curiosity, if our report was a fan of the author. We declined to answer as it was not relevant and we had limited time. He said, obviously, the fact that we do have a big problem with extremism in this country, and it's the prime minister, he's an extremist, while he's providing aid and comfort to actual domestic terrorists who, tried to hold up the city. Polyev said the prime minister wants to decriminalize crack and cocaine, and he wants to pay for it giving out tax-funded opioids that are killing our kids. He wants to ban automobiles that people need to get where they're going. He did not provide specifics or reference policies to what
None of what he said is true. Not a word of that is true.
Nope. Continuing the original question, Sudbury.com asked about his critics who say he attacks segments of the 2S LGBTQ population, and again he interrupted, asking for specific dates, times, and places he made comments. Sudbury.com said, well, it was well-documented media reports. Polyev says, where? Moving on, Sudbury.com asked about polls on both sides of the border, which indicate many are looking for more of an anti-politician, one that's not entrenched in government. We asked Polyev, as a career politician who had been playing the game, why should people believe he is different? He asked, sorry, what game have I played? Sudbury.com responds, the game of politics, as it were. He brought up the value of experience when it comes to challenges. You're having a heart attack and you need a heart surgery. You hire somebody who's been a heart surgeon and has successfully operated on patients. You wouldn't say, well, geez, this heart surgeon has never been an accountant. He's never been a truck driver or mechanic. Polyev said, if you want somebody who can deliver affordable homes, so you hire the guy who was the housing minister when rent was $950 a year and when housing a new house could be bought on average for $450,000 a year. Okay, he was housing minister for not even 9 months. And he didn't do a damn thing.
Built 6 homes. 6.
All he did was oversee the cut policies.
That's it.
He wasn't there long enough to take credit. He wasn't not long enough there to take blame either. Because he just wasn't there long enough to do anything. And housing was, well, as the article goes, like, this is good. Though Singh and Trudeau also referred to Polyev as a housing minister, technically speaking, Polyev never held that specific title.
Correct.
For a 9-month period in 2015, during the final year of Stephen Harper's government, he was the Minister of Employment and Social Development, wherein he assumed responsibility for the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. That's it. And ERDC, like, that's the cradle to grave department. Your social insurance number, OAS, GIS, Canada Student Loans. Trust me, he had a lot going on. Like this. Housing, it's not like the housing minister now. The housing is the only thing he does. It was one among 70 things.
Yeah. Well,
he didn't have time to do it.
I need the media to start taking him to task when he says, the Trudeau government's going to supply crack cocaine to people. No, sir, that's not true. The Trudeau government isn't supplying drugs to anybody.
No.
That is done at a municipal level by the municipality in the safe injection sites. You can't say you're canceling federal tax dollars that go to these sites because they don't get federal tax dollars. Stop lying to people.
Right. So here you got Pierre, the anti-expert guy, who's saying, well, but I'm an expert in governance. I've been there for 20 years. Yeah, but now we need an expert.
When it's convenient, he wants one. When it isn't,
I guess his 20 years in government makes him an expert.
No.
If you wanted someone who could bring low inflation, you'd hire somebody who in the past was part of a government that delivered extremely low inflation. Up until the pandemic, the Trudeau government actually delivered lower inflation than Harper.
That's
actually
correct.
We talked about this on the show before.
And
and
the middle class received tax cuts right across the board. He keeps saying taxes are up on the middle class. No, that's not true.
No, that's not true.
For the working poor, and the middle class, our tax cuts have gone across the board. And actually, truth be told, for high income earners, they also received a bit of a cut too. Up to $257,000, you're only paying 29%. After that, you're paying 33%, which is the highest tax bracket in the country.
Yes. Polyev continued, so if you want somebody to do something, you hire someone who's done it. And I have. No, he hasn't.
No, he's done nothing.
In 10 years of government, he was a minister about 2.5.
Yeah.
Because he didn't rate. I guess. And one of the ERDC was a big government department that he was in for 9 months. The other one he was at was Democratic Reform, one that was created for him to give some legitimacy to the Fair Elections Act that he passed. The only piece of legislation he's ever passed in 20 years, and it got gutted by the Supreme Court, and pretty much all the other provisions have been overturned since. He has 0 legislative accomplishments to speak for. He was a minister for 2.5 years, only 9 months in a department, in a portfolio that actually is relevant in any way to the lives of Canadians. He has no experience.
None.
The Prime
0.
Minister has been Prime Minister for, according to Pierre, 9 years already. So if you really did want the expert like this, then take the guy that's been doing it for the last 9 years, not a guy that nobody was able to trust with a serious portfolio for more than 9 months in 10 years of government.
He's never done anything.
He has 0 accomplishments. None. Nothing.
And people want to hand the reins of power over to this man who's been there that long and has done nothing.
Yes. Sudbury.com asked if that meant experience was more important than new ideas and a fresh new face in choosing the Prime Minister. I don't know if you can even look at it either way, but compared to the current government, I am a fresh new face because they've been around for 9 years. You've been around for 20. Polyev said today it's impossible for a young person to own a home, blah, 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 goes into a whole bunch of stuff, what he's going to do with housing, all that kind of stuff. And then, after the interview, Polyev asked Sudbury.com about recording. After the
You have
interview.
something playing in the background there.
Yeah, I know. After the interview, Polyev asked Sudbury.com about the recording we had made. I hope you'll play that in full without any edits, he said. He was told it was for accurate note-taking purposes. Sudbury.com referred to the 2 cameras and aides watching, telling the Conservative leader that his team had recorded it in full.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we'll make sure that it's covered the right way.
What the hell does that mean? Oh, I know what it means. We're going to paint me into a good-looking picture. We'll make clips out of this so I look great.
So, Pierre doing the what? Who, me? Tell me exactly when. Show me the literal words.
Yeah.
Weird. Right? He pretends that he doesn't know what diagolon is.
When he actually,
he's still courting them. He's still courting them.
Well, and he's been briefed. He's been briefed on them in the House of Commons.
Yes.
If you
don't know what it is, maybe you should get your security clearance. Might come in handy to protect your own damn family. So, they joke about sexually assaulting his wife.
Mm-hmm.
22 months later, he pretends that he doesn't know them, and he's still courting them.
Yeah.
But he calls Singh a sellout. That is weird. It is weird. Yes. And this denial, let's put it in a context of, I don't know what diagolon is. The group of people who, again, muse aloud about violating or sexually assaulting my wife happens days after the trio of CPC Mean Girls exploited survivors of domestic violence for memes. I don't know about you, but in my honest opinion, a man who refuses to stand up for his wife sure the fuck isn't going to stand up for you.
Nope.
Or Canada.
Nope.
Or give you freedom.
Nope.
I was like, if I was like Anita, I'd be at home going like, what the fuck, dude? Gee, I think I'm starting to understand what Melania is going through.
Yeah.
Then I'm asking you a question. Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to tell you. I'm aware that you're answering me a question about one thing, but I'm here to give you my monologue, so F you.
Basically is what he said.
That is weird. He says, I'm addressing the extremism we have in Canada, but doesn't know what diagolon is. Let that inconsistency sink in. Weird.
People need to see this man for who and what he is.
Speaking of selling out to extremists, though that Father Marker Pat King keeps on violating his bail conditions, Pierre has never once said jail, not bail, as it pertains to him specifically.
Of course not. Well,
guess that policy doesn't apply to friends.
No. Just the people he doesn't like. Usually the ones that have a darker complexion, I'm guessing. That's just me.
Then unable to keep the PM's name out of his mouth, he goes through all the greatest hits, right? China wants to get your kids hot on crack, never presents proof, and he does all of this in 5 minutes. Wow, kind of busy. That's kind of weird. Then another weirdo moment. Guy who encrusts himself in the House of Commons for 20 years claims that he's a fresh face. Weird. And for his dismount, Pierre Poilievre gets really effing weird, not to mention paranoid, because seems he was painfully aware that this interview did not go well for him, because why else would you need to threaten to release a counter-programming version of the interview that will frame it in the right way? Why would you need that? So yeah, let's say he didn't quite stick that landing.
Well, and after Sudbury, he went on to Kirkland Lake, where he had another rally. And let me just put this on the screen for you. I'm going to show you some stuff and read it to you. So from Luc Lebrun, hundreds of accounts claiming to be located in the United States, France, England, Russia, etc., say they are still buzzing after attending Pierre Poilievre's recent rally in Kirkland Lake, Ontario. Ooh. So this is Belle. She has stuff written in, I don't know if that's Italian or Spanish. And she lives in Bertin, France. She's following 55, has 0 followers, and says, just got back from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy. As a northerner, it's refreshing to see a leader who actually listens to our concerns and prioritizes our needs. Oh, thanks, Belle. Oh, and look at Faye from New Yat, England. 6 followers. Just got back from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still... It's a cut and paste. As a Northern Ontarian, you live in England. Here's somebody in the province of Samara, Russia. Just watched Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy. As a Northern Ontarian, it's... I'm sorry, what? Oh, look at this. A boy mom with 5 followers in Monroe, New York. Just got back from Pierre Poilievre's rally in Kirkland Lake. As a Northern Ontario... Do you see a pattern here? Well, as it turns out, there is a pattern. And all of these tweets are from individuals that do not live in this country, but they all went to Pierre Poilievre's rally.
Some of them even bought winter jackets because it was so cold. I braved the cold.
Look at this. This is a bot army. This is page 6 of these screen caps. 6 pages of them. Oh, look, there's 7. Apparently the rally in Kirkland Lake was very electric, said these 50 people in these screen caps who all have 0 to 5 followers, say they're from Northern Ontario, but list a different location in their bio. This is page 7. You may want to look at this, CSIS Canada, RCMP Police. Page 8. This is not normal, folks. Now, I want to address something that Cassie said earlier in the comments, because it pertains to this. She said, why are you highlighting what Michelle Rempel-Garner said and giving it credibility? We're not giving it credibility.
No.
Because, most of Canada is not on Twitter. You are correct. Most of Canada is not on Twitter. We're not giving it credibility. We are trying to show those of you who watch and listen to this program who aren't on Twitter, or X if you want to call it that, what a member of parliament does on social media.
When you're not watching.
You need to know how these people behave when you're not looking so that you can make an informed decision. We're not trying to platform her or give her credibility. We're giving you the information and the facts so you can make an informed decision when you go to cast your ballot. And this 8 pages.
This is how they
500 people who do not live in this country were raving about the rally they went to in Kirkland Lake as Northern Ontarians. They don't live there. They don't live in the country. This is not normal. You need to know what this party will do to get your vote, and it's lie to your face every chance they get, because all they seek is power and control, so they can give tax cuts to their wealthy friends, cut taxes for us by, removing social programs we desperately need. He'll end pharmacare, dental care, $10 a day daycare, the child poverty tax credit. Why? Because he said he will do the exact opposite of everything the Liberal government has delivered to us. He will do the exact opposite. He says, matter of fact, in the most recent budget, they voted no on every single line item. Every one. Every single one. These people do not care about you. This man is a narcissist, power-hungry freak who at the age of 18, when graduating from high school, said in his yearbook, quote, "What is truly horrific is the existing welfare state."
And if you're an 18-year-old who says that, you're weird.
You're weird.
It was weird then.
Like,
No
there's no
18-year-old.
compassion.
No 18-year-old is worried about the welfare state. No 5-year-old wants to defund the CBC.
Exactly. They don't even know what that means.
So when you see little kids at a protest with the little card that says defund the CBC, that kid didn't think of that on their own. So what he is doing with all of this is he's trying to, how I label it, manufacture inevitability. That's the only reason you do this. And you only do this if you're not, this is not the move of someone who feels that they're confident that they're going to win. When you have to manufacture and create all of this support. Yes, he was in a rally up in northern Ontario claiming we got 400 people. Douglas Judson, the lawyer who we had on this show around Christmas, said the room only holds 200.
Okay. And then we had 500 people praising him. 500 people that do not live in this country. This is a good one from Rusty Idols at Cliff 418175753. What if Pierre Poilievre's poll results are as authentic as his online supporters?
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the room holds 200. We had 400 people. And then you've got 500 people, again, who don't live in the country, who claim they were A, at the rally, B, Northern Ontarians.
Yeah. And here's a Kit made a comment in the chat, I don't remember who, but asking, if you look at these, Lita, Dwana, Lila, Paulina, Kyla, Vanya, Georgiana, Henriette, Bernetta, Dwana, Kamala, Carla, Yesenia, Kelsa, Vicky, Ileana, Brianna, Madeline, Lori, Eula, Faye, Ramona. Oh, there's a Timothy. Gianna, Ermelinda, Tammy, Dory. Gee, do you think that maybe the Women Against Poilievre thing is all these women?
Mm-hmm.
There's one from New Mexico. Just got back for Piaz Poly in Kirkland Lake. Wow, you made a 31-hour trip. I looked it up. And that's 31 driving straight through.
Because we know you didn't fly there.
Because you got to fly there. And I'm guessing that there are not lots of... I don't know how you go to Pierre's rally in Kirkland one night and just get back that very night or the next morning.
It's not possible.
You got a couple of flight connections from Kirkland Lake to New Mexico. It's not like Air Canada or US Air has like a direct flight.
Yeah, to Kirkland Lake. I don't think Kirkland Lake has an airport, do they? Oh, they must. Actually, they must, because they're quite far north.
I mean, just weird. Super, super weird. And election interference, anyone? Might be foreign, might be domestic. Who knows with these bot farms? Who's paying for it? But somebody paid for this.
So Kirkland Lake, because I've never been to Kirkland Lake, but I've been to Timmins and Iroquois Falls, because I used to have family in Iroquois Falls. Kirkland Lake,
to like Sturgeon and stuff. Sturgeon.
Yeah, it's quite far north. It's it's almost parallel to Rouyn-Noranda in Quebec.
That's up there.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's south of Timmins, southeast of Timmins. Right?
Jeez. Oh man. It's unbelievable. Right. I
Six
don't
and a
even
half hours for me to drive there. If I wanted to drive there right now, according to Google, it would take 6.5 hours. There's 3 routes I can take. One is 8 hours and 20 minutes. The shortest is 599 kilometers, 6.5 hours, and actually, and one that's 14 kilometers longer, 7 hours actually, for 14 more kilometers. But that goes through
man.
Quebec. So yeah, Kirkland Lake. It's far. 600K from here, basically.
I do not have words. I just do not have words because this is just why did, if you are that inevitable and if you're so obviously the right choice, why do you need to do this? Why do you need to do this? It's just weird.
Yeah.
Weird. And I saw somebody had circulated. I wish I could find it. What it is? Oh yeah, there it goes. There it is. These bot farms look like, because if you've never seen one,
Oh yeah, I have.
but for those who haven't, you might want to see this. And this is at John C. Roscoe at on Twitter. Another very recommended follow. Kit PNC Bio might like him in particularly because they share that same subversive little snark thing where they say the things that they would say, but it's tongue planted firmly in cheek. But
So
this is what
this is a bot farm, folks. If you've never seen one before,
this is how some people earn their livings.
Mm-hmm. And I don't blame the folks that they're just trying to earn a living. I don't blame them. I don't. I blame the folks who hire them.
This is what we're up against.
Yeah. I love this tweet. The response online has been overwhelming.
That's why I'm saying you might like
Snark, yeah.
people like that little snark might like John Roscoe's account very much. I get a good kick out of it. So yeah, kids and cubs. Again, this is not normal. We're not dealing with normal. But again, the more that weird is sticking because what they're doing objectively is weird. And you're not calling them bad people.
Well,
you're not saying that they're racist. You're not saying they're bigots. You're not saying they're deplorables. They ought to be ashamed. They wear all of that stuff like a badge of honor.
I want to know why there's no investigative journalists digging into this, and I think I know why. Most of them are owned by 66 or 67% of Canadian media is owned by right-wing hedge fund from the U.S., Chatham Asset Management, and then there's what do we got? The Toronto Star, which is not even owned by left-wingers anymore. Most Canadian media has supported conservatives over the last 50 years of elections. I think we have records that go back 30, if memory serves.
So, this is why weird works. It's a quote from Mark Twain. Mr. Grizzly?
You take the lies out of him, and he'll shrink to the size of your hat. You take the malice out of him, and he'll disappear. Mark Twain.
And that's what we need to do to this guy.
Clemens.
That's what we need to do to this guy.
Yeah. I need an investigative journalist somewhere to get on this.
Well, that's the thing. This was highlighted by an account. I think it's called Trivia 280.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A citizen.
Citizen.
Investigative journalists, where are you? Media, where are you? Elections Canada, where are you? CSIS, where are you? RCMP, where are you? People are trying to interfere directly with your right to cast a fully informed vote. That should not be happening. That should be illegal. If there's one thing that should be illegal in a democracy, it's trying to interfere with someone's right to vote and someone's right to cast a fully informed vote.
Well, I happen to love this quote because this is taken from Billy Mann, and it's someone should say this after anything Mr. Polyev says. Mr. Polyev, what you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. I want somebody to say that to him.
I believe that's from a movie, isn't it?
It's from Billy Madison.
Okay, yes.
It's from Billy Madison, yes.
I just... all right. Now that we got done with the greasy...
We're gonna jump into some Olympic coverage because I think I need something good.
Yes. All right, Kits and Cubs. I do believe, if I say so myself, that the winners of this year's journalistic end of the year's male athlete and female athlete of the year are probably already decided based on this Olympics. Summer, of course,
clearly
McIntosh for
not
one,
even close.
And for the men, I believe it'll probably be Ethan Katzberg.
I believe so too.
Because this man
destroyed.
6'6" and lean, not the typical look, and looks a lot like Burton Cummings, which in Canada is a huge compliment.
Yeah, more of a mullet than Burton ever had, but he's got the mustache.
Yeah. Stood up in the qualifications, threw one shot through the qualifying standard, so he didn't have to throw his other ones. Then got to the final on his first shot. One and done.
Yeah.
That's all it took. Yes.
Yeah.
There were 5 more shots. A whole bunch of people got 3, and then the top 8 got 3 more, so they got 6. But one and done. He was the only person in the field to throw over 80 meters. There's one guy that came really close. He had like 3 of them, like in the 79.97, 79.85, who got, I believe he ended up getting the silver. But he was the only one.
4.5 meter difference. Like that's a lot.
And he did it twice.
Yeah. It's the 9th best hammer throw in history.
One
picture of calm concentration when he entered the stadium to the applause of over 70,000 fans. After his momentous win, reporters in the mixed zone interviewed the clearly delighted Olympic champion. They asked about his thoughts following his phenomenal first throw. I didn't want to assume, and so I wanted to stay focused in the competition and, keep trying to improve my mark. Anything could happen in the Olympics, but fortunately, it was enough to seal the deal.
Yeah, he was just shy of the Olympic record. Just a smidge. One throw.
The longest throw in the world since 2008.
And I had never really watched hammer throw.
It's the toughest thing to do in athletics.
Oh yeah, but I saw him wind up because I'm sorry, I can't say that I have watched hammer throw in previous Olympics, but the speed at which this guy spins in the circle compared to everyone else. So when he did it and it's like through, I was like, whoa! Like I actually said it out loud, like, whoa! I screamed. I couldn't believe that a big guy like that one could move that fast, number one, and keep everything in line.
Well,
his legs were actually crossed at the end.
Yeah, remember Usain Bolt? He was 6'5" and ran faster than any human being in history.
Yep.
So there are big men who are just
agile and can move.
Athletic, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a big dude. He wants to break the record is 86.74 meters. He's intent on breaking it.
Yep, the world record. Listen, that undeniable he was. Other success, Wyatt Sanford won Canada's first boxing medal, a bronze, in I think 28 years. And if you ever seen the interviews with him, he is a delight.
Well, I was watching the fight that he won the bronze medal. He lost the fight, right? So he gets
Yes.
the bronze medal. And after the fight, he immediately went to the corner of his opponent, and they were both smiling and hugging and happy because he said point blank, "Oh no, he beat me fair and square." Like
Yep.
he said he's so quick, he's so fast, he's a better fighter. I've got work to do because I want to come back and do it again. But he's just a better fighter, and I'm cheering for him to win the gold. I'm like, phew, wow, talk about magnanimous. My
And
goodness.
it's like, you know, and super happy with my performance. Just didn't get the result. The man is a delight.
Yeah.
I'm a fan right away. I wouldn't even have to have seen him box. Just the way he handled himself after. The man is a pure delight. The women's eights did not defend the gold, but did take home the silver. We had one of two boats. The first boat, which was also a medal contender, had just a bad regatta. Didn't happen. If you see the interview with them after it, you can see that they're crushed. It just didn't happen for them. But I think they finished. They got to repassage and then finished last in their heat, and it just didn't work for them. But we had two boats. One did bring home a medal. But yeah, our rowing program clearly needs to be rebuilt. Andre DeGrasse and Aaron Brown had a tougher time in the 100 meter. Aaron Brown got disqualified in the heats for false start.
False start. You don't get a break on that. What they changed the rules on that?
They changed the rules. Yes, there used to be a false start. Like the whole group would get one false start, but it would apply to the whole group. And what would happen is that some people that were people would abuse of it. People that were good sprinters would sometimes twitch and whatnot to get people to go, and then that would make them nervous to start again. And then they would they would get the jump on the second one.
And that's why they did that.
So now it's just one. I think it should have just been into one, two individual false starts, and like this rather than like just one boom, because sometimes there are noises and you can get distracted or somebody moves and you see somebody from the side of your eye. And
that's what he was claiming, right? Because he was going, I heard it, right?
Yeah, I heard or I saw something or whatever. He was like sort of pointing, but like this, and he went. But yeah, I would prefer a rule that says individual. But then I guess if they're individual, then a whole bunch of people can try to get that jump, and you could have several false starts, and it would take longer to start the race. They are on a schedule. But yes, and then Andre DeGrasse made it to the semifinal, and he did a run under 10 for the first time. He ran 9:98. Problem is that the 8 fastest times were 9:92, which is very fast and below. So that didn't happen, but he's still in for the 200, and so are Aaron Brown. Same thing for Audrey Leduc. Got to the semifinal. Didn't get a good start on the second, so didn't make it through, but it seems that she's more of a 200 runner as well. Josh Liendo and Ilya Karun.
Yeah.
Finished
Silver and bronze.
Second and third. Silver and bronze.
And Josh missed the gold by an eyelash.
Yes. And he missed bronze in the 100 that he wasn't supposed to be in because somebody else dropped out by 0.02 seconds. From lane 8, he finished 4th by 0.02 of a second.
That's crazy.
Our swimmers, Summer McIntosh, won the 200 IM in another Olympic record. So she set 3 golds, 2 Olympic records.
And a silver. Or no,
silver. Yeah.
Silver or bronze?
Yeah.
Silver.
Yeah, 3 golds, I guess, and finished 4th in the 4x100 IM medley. So there were no relay medals for Canada this time at the Olympics. Kylie Mass finished 4th in the 100 back, but got bronze in the 200. 3 Olympics in a row. She's got medals. She has 5 total over her career. People don't talk about her a lot, but it's like Penny Alexiak has 6, right? Maggie McNeil has 5 like this. Well, Kylie Mass has 5 too now. But she did over 3 Olympics, getting some medaling in all 3.
Yeah.
That's longevity. That's dependability. That's delivering in the clutch again and again and again. She deserves to be talked about a whole lot more, actually. But hey, when you're in the summer shadow of Penny Alexiak one year and Summer McIntosh another year. And
Yeah.
I mean, like this, but quietly, the person getting it done in the background, like this, that's her, Kylie Mass. Evan Dunphy finished 5th in the 20-kilometer race walk. He was a medalist in Tokyo in the 50-kilometer race walk, but that event doesn't exist anymore. So that was his opportunity. Women's basketball team. Number 5th team in the world, did not win a single match. Their match against Nigeria, the last one, they had to win it and win it by about 10 points or something like that. You can't win a match when you turn over the ball over 25 times in a match.
No.
You just can't. There's a coaching issue there. They got rid of the coach after Tokyo. I think we talked about it in the bonus show on Friday. But Germany picked up that coach. Germany's still in it. We're not. Maybe our sports federations need to stop making dumb decisions that interfere with our athletes' ability to perform. The coach that we had was a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason to dispatch them. Germany picked them up. Germany did better. Come on, guys. And same thing for Soccer Canada. Canada Soccer. Give our athletes what they need to succeed and get the hell out of their way. Our women's soccer team, the thing that I cautioned everybody about on our show, on the bonus show, to temper the expectations, because when you have something placed upon, a burden and a weight placed upon you in the way that they have, and you overcome that weight, often there's a moment of, and that's when you get caught. I see it happen in tennis all the time. People are down 5-1, and they manage to battle back to bring it to 5-5. Yes, and then it slips. After doing that, because you did all that work, all that focus, just to get back on level, to give yourself a chance, and they think, okay, now I got a chance. I can breathe in. Boom. That's when you get it upside the head. Well, that's what happened against Germany. Unfortunately, that does not take away anything from the incredible performance just to get there, considering all the adversity. All the adversity. So, women, standing ovation. And thank you. Thank you, because it was important, because people were saying Canada are cheaters, and you guys needed to prove, no, we're just a good damn team. And you did that.
They went into extra time. They played the added time, they played the extra time, and then they had to go to penalties. And penalties is thrilling to watch. But as a player, it must suck to win and lose on penalties. It's like, why play the game? It's something I've had a few people who've been long-time football aficionados and fans, like lifetime fans of the sport, have said they need to stop doing this. What you do is when you go into extra time, you take 2 players off.
Yes.
And after the first extra time, nobody scored, you take 2 more off.
Yes.
And that, like 3-on-3 in overtime, right, in regular season in hockey. Then they go to shootout. But I'm like, if you started pulling players off, I think that would be more effective.
Yep. I like that idea better than what they're doing now.
I've never liked the shootout. I've never liked the penalty kicks, because especially in football, the net is so damn big.
I know.
And then you'll have players who will roof it over the net or go wide. And it's like the amount of stress. And that's the thing that people fail to understand. I read an article, Megan Rapinoe's partner wrote an article about how you think, oh, you're the penalty kicker. This is an automatic goal. It's like, no, it's not automatic. And there's an incredible amount of stress on the kicker, because they're trying to figure out, where do I put it? And hopefully the keeper doesn't dive in that direction. Hopefully I can get it in the net and I don't go wide over the top. Or there's a lot of stress. Now, what happens? Usually they score, but not on every single one.
Mhm.
Yeah, and this is it, right? From T. Wigmore. Penalty kicks is no way to settle a lengthy game. Just take the players off.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that suggestion before, and actually it's a really damn good one. I like that better. In archery, surprise, a man, a Canadian named Eric Peters, who had surprised the world a while back by taking a bronze medal at a world championship, finished in the top 8 in his event, which is, has Canada ever come close to winning an archery medal ever? I don't know. I've never heard of any success from the program, but that was a pretty darn good result for him as well. Women's basketball, 3-on-3. The team had a rough day a couple of days ago, losing 2 matches in overtime. A little bit with playing not to lose rather than playing to win. It seems that on 3-on-3 basketball, the first team to score 2 points in overtime wins. And if you, like regular basketball, there's the 3-point line. Well, in 3-on-3, it's a 2-point line, and anything in is 1 point. So you can either start overtime if you have first possession, trying to sink a 2-pointer and win it, or trying to play it safer, sink the 1 point, try to get possession of the ball and sink at the other one. Well, in the first match, they scored the 1 point, and then the other team just tried a shot from the 2-point line and then sunk the team.
That was the end of it.
That was the end of it.
I watched the Canada-Nigeria match yesterday morning, and Nigeria was just a better team. Canada mounted a comeback, but they needed to win by 10 points, and they lost by, I think, 8. So
they were down by 10 in the first quarter.
Yeah,
managed to get it back up.
They
were
brought
up
in
by
Bridget
4.
Carlton, who started scoring left, right, and center.
They got up by 10 at some point in the second, ended that quarter up by 4, and then just disappeared.
Yeah, they felt
turnovers. Kia Nurse, I think, was like at one point in the match was like 3 baskets for 12 attempts.
Yeah, she just it wasn't her day.
It wasn't her tournament. Apparently, things weren't connecting. Missed receptions, drop balls, fumbles, scrambles. I saw a match. There were some matches I saw where like 4 minutes went by and not one basket was sunk other than a free throw.
Yeah.
Right.
That
can't happen.
They just didn't have it.
They just didn't have it. It wasn't working for them.
Sometimes that happens. Yeah.
Yep. It just wasn't happening. Everybody has, like I said, there are days I go play tennis and it's like I play like a rock star, and there are other days it's just like have you ever held a racket before? Like, what the hell? And against people like, not like I'm playing some guy that smokes me. It's like, I've defeated you before.
Yeah.
As today I lost 8-1. What the heck? So, it happens. The men's basketball team, however, doing quite well. They're in the playoffs, and they got a really good draw. Not on the same side of the draw as the United States. So it looks, anyway, the possibility of a Canada-US final for gold exists in theory. So this should be an interesting, a few interesting matches. In judo, Shadi El Nahas had a terrible first round and got eliminated. Turns out that he had an injury to his thumb a couple of weeks before, which kind of makes it hard for judo because you're grappling. But said, it's okay. We still have the mixed team event, and they lost in the first round there too. So that was a little tougher. In tennis, I mentioned it on the Sunday on the extra show, but Gabriela Dabrowski and Felix Auger-Aliassime did win bronze medal in mixed doubles. That's Canada's second tennis medal in history, because the first one was in 2000 in Sydney, the first year that it was. Daniel Nestor, of course, with Sébastien Larreau, won the gold then. And Felix Auger-Aliassime had a chance, was playing Carlos Alcaraz for the chance to play in the gold medal match. He got smoked 6-1, 6-1. Then got to the bronze medal match, and I was playing a guy from Italy named Musetti, who, if he gets on a roll, is very dangerous. He won the first set. I believe it was very close. Auger-Aliassime smoked him in the second. Looked like he had, was going to go all the way with it, but then the third set, well, it didn't go his way. I think in that one, Um, there may have been some choices made that were probably not to the best advantage. The schedule was such that he was the person who's played the most tennis, period. And there, because he got to a semifinal in mixed doubles and in doubles, and he had unfortunately lost in the first round in men's doubles with Milos Raonic. And along the way, I mean, he took out the number 5 in the world, who he had never beaten in 7 matches, then took out the number 9 in the world, who's the best player on clay other than Nadal currently playing, and then had to take on Carlos Alcaraz, who was number 1 in the world until not too long ago like this, and has gone 4-0 in his first 4 Grand Slam finals. At some point, the tank's going to run out. But on the day that he played Casper Ruud, he was also playing his mixed doubles match, and they would allow him more rest if he wanted it, but he decided to take just a little bit of rest in order to rest up as much as he could for his match against Alcaraz in the hope for going for the singles gold, which was a tougher ask. And in the process, probably ran out of juice in the mixed doubles semifinal, which would have allowed him to qualify for the gold medal match. Normally in regular tennis, you focus on the singles because well, the glory and the prize money is great, but at the Olympics, a gold medal is a gold medal. Whether it's mixed doubles or singles, it's a gold medal. So if he wanted gold, he might have been a better choice to take more rest before the mixed doubles match, the semifinal, try to win that one to get in the gold medal match, and then see what his luck in singles would be the next day. So, but it's a choice. Again, in the Olympics, like I said, sometimes if you decide you're going to compete to win, and singles is the bigger glory, technically, even though a gold medal is a gold medal at the Olympics, but an individual medal over like this, then the decision makes sense that he went for it, because and it didn't work out. But still, a bronze medal performance for him and Gabriela Dabrowski. So that was really good. And Cameron Rogers qualified for the final in her hammer throw, and she qualified first as well. So I think she's competing today, if I'm not mistaken, or tomorrow in that, but that's coming. And of course, Damian Warner, which was the big story. Decathlon, was doing well. Not as well as he was hoping to be doing, but well. He was in second place after the first day, and after the first event of the second day, the running events seemed to be stronger ones of the 3. He had taken the lead again, and then got to the pole vault and missed his 3 jumps. Didn't record a score, and tumbled down the standings. And if you don't record a score in an event, you really can't win. So pulled out from then on. From the event, which was disappointing because everybody was. He was one of the people that people were looking at as an inevitable as well, right? And the day just didn't happen. It happens, right? It happens, especially pole vaulter and high jump. Those are the ones that the people usually get caught on if they're gonna foul out. But he delivered a press conference afterwards and said, "Oh no, I'm not done." So he's going to stay in competition. And same goes for Ellie Black. She's 28, gymnast. Finished 6th in the all-around while falling off the balance beam, which is her best. Like this, because she went for it.
Yeah.
Again,
well, and you have to remember
she competed to win.
The woman who's claimed the silver from Brazil, whose name is escaping me at the moment, is
Andrade.
a whisker. Yes, she's a whisker behind Simone Biles.
Yes.
Simone Biles is not just a generational athlete. It's likely that in our lifetime, we will never see anybody do what she's done. She's invented moves that they won't let her do in competition because nobody else can do them.
Yep. And Simone Biles says of Andrade, because she used to be first by so far, says, I don't like that she's pushing me. You're getting too close. I don't like that. But Ellie Black will be competing in the floor exercise apparatus final today. But she's 28, still 6th in the overall. She's still getting better.
Yeah.
Right. So she loves it. She says she says she's not committing to the next full Olympic cycle, but as long as she still loves gymnastics, she's going to do it. And let's remember that in gymnastics, over time, right, you can go from all around to individual apparatus
Mhm.
specialists. And she has a couple in which she's really good on. And remember, you can keep, given that, you can keep competing in gymnastics for a long time. I think it was 1 or 2 Olympics ago. There was a gymnast for Bulgaria who was in her 40s who won
Yes.
a bronze on the vault.
Yeah.
So, so long as that there's room on the team, because some teams bring one person in who's a specialist for the team competition to help them.
Mhm.
So long as she's healthy, because and so long as there isn't another female gymnast that comes around that can all around as well or better, she pretty much has a permanent spot on that team.
I think so.
All she
Well,
wants.
she, one of the things that I saw, because I follow Simone Biles on the Twitter, and one of the things she said yesterday that I'm like, yes, is stop asking athletes what their plans are after they
Right.
win a gold medal.
Let them savor the
enjoy it.
moment.
Like, come on, man.
It's like,
What are your future plans? I'm gonna go have some beers with friends and celebrate the fact I got a gold medal in the Olympics. Like,
yes. Well, it's
what a
like,
stupid question.
but that's like, hey, this great thing just happened now. Let me pull you out of this moment to bring you into the why?
Yeah. Well, another one too that I've heard a lot of as of late, and my lovely wife pointed out to me, and I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. She's a serious competitor. Why do
They're
you
all at
think
the
she's
Olympics.
there?
They're at the Olympics. They're all serious competitors at that level.
Do you remember a time when sports writers and sports commentators used to be some of the best in the business at their craft? And oftentimes, sports writers and sports commentators would move on to hard news because they were so good at writing and at diction and at delivering. And there's just not enough of them anymore.
And
Devin,
words.
our friend Devin, is really good at his job. That's
Yes.
why I follow him, because he's got such insightful commentary. And he's a good person too. That doesn't hurt. But I don't think he'd ever ask a question as dumb as that or make a statement as, she's a serious competitor.
Yeah.
Why do you think she's there?
As you think about it, but people, you're right, because people look down their nose at sports writers. But think about it, right? Baseball. How many
Mhm.
teams are there? Hockey teams. How many ways can you say defeated?
Yeah.
It's not that like the Blackhawks defeated the Flames, and then the Toronto Maple Leafs defeated them. It's like it would be boring. They defeated, got past, trounced, eked by, squeaked by. They're good at words.
Who is a writer had told me years ago, sports writers are some of the best writers in the business, period.
Yes.
Because they need it. You already know the outcome of the game, and yet you're still going to read their column, and they pull you in and keep you there. Yeah. The sports writers are very good at what they do, but it seems that the bar has been lowered. Maybe
Yes.
I'm wrong, but just what I've noticed.
Yep. And also, because we didn't mention it at all, Sofiane Mitot, bronze medal, trampoline gymnastics.
Oh yes, yeah.
Surprise medal.
Well, and
yes, and the tumble.
The Chinese competitor who was expected to win the gold. I was watching it. We were watching it live, and I looked at.
I was nervous.
It took her forever.
Yes.
To get going. I said, I think there's something wrong, Bridget. She
yes.
goes, why? And I go, she hasn't started. She's been bouncing up and down for like 20 seconds. There's something off.
Yes.
She might have the twisties or something.
I had the
she did one move, and it was not landed in the square. And she did the second one and landed on her back on the edge of the trampoline, and that was it. It was done. She was out.
Yeah, because that's in trampoline. As soon as you're as soon as you screw your move's done, you don't get in regular gymnastics. You fall off the apparatus. You can get back on, finish your routine. Trampoline, no,
it's done. So I think there was something wrong right away. I'm like, either she's anxious or has the twisties, or there's something not right, because it must have been.
She was
15 or 20 seconds before she made her first attempt at anything, and I was like, that's not normal.
And she was the highest jumper.
Oh, her amplitude was insane.
Yeah. So it's like I'm sitting there, like, start, go. When's she gonna go? Why is she not going? Okay, this is weird.
Yeah, it just took forever.
Yeah, so you had the sense that something was going to happen. Yeah, as soon as she started, it was like I had this this feeling of dread. Something's gonna happen here, and it did. And it was a pretty spectacular thing. Now, fortunately, the ends are soft, but she landed and sort of like flipped over. But
Yeah.
fortunately, she did not land on the back of her neck or legs. She probably
She
just
could have
landed
been severely hurt.
just on the top of her
Yeah.
back there or something like that. But
It did not look good.
no, not at all. It's like I was like, yay! You know, when you watch the Olympics, something
Oh, yeah,
happens,
yeah.
and it was one of those moments. Yeah, that was frightening.
Now, there is a bit of an issue in the pool.
Oh, do tell.
Well, 3 of the 4 swimmers from Team China who won the gold medal in the 4x100 meter relay, or the 4x100 meter relay yesterday.
The IM?
They had tested positive for a banned substance some time ago.
Yes.
I think in the last Olympics, if memory serves.
Mm-hmm.
So other swimmers are saying, "Come on, do your damn job. We know they're swimming dirty." And oftentimes I think, is that just an accusatory tone? But then again, you know, it wouldn't be the first time somebody's been caught cheating at the Olympics, and it won't be the last. So there's a bit of controversy because even Katie Ledecky spoke up. I'm like, Katie Ledecky, she owns every record.
Yep.
Like,
So
she's
did Adam
the greatest.
Peaty.
Yeah, she and Michael Phelps are the 2 greatest swimmers of all time. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And Petey spoke up as well. So it's like there's maybe this needs to be looked into. I don't know. I'm not accusing anybody of anything because I don't know enough about it to make a comment. So I watched that relay, and the Chinese team looked amazing. They did. Maybe they're just great athletes, but the accusation's been leveled, and they do have a history. So might be worth looking into.
Yeah. The other, when you say the greatest swimmer of all time, a lot of people don't know her name, but because she's not as famous. But Sarah Sjöström as well, who was there from Sweden,
from Sweden,
who won the 15-100 free, and I think she's won the 15-100 free like for the last like 10 years or something.
Yeah.
So she's got medals up the yin yang. But yeah, according to Associated Press, Olympic swimmers spoke out about the Chinese doping scandal that has hung over these Paris Olympics as the events finished Sunday night. China won the men's 4x100 meter medley relay in 3 minutes 27.46 seconds, with 2 of the 4 members of the team listed among the 23 Chinese swimmers who tested positive ahead of the Tokyo Olympics 3 years ago. The swimmers were allowed to compete after a Chinese investigation ruled that they consumed food that had been contaminated. Now, this was an investigation by the Chinese Sport Association. They reported back, okay, we investigated it, and this is what it was, and it was all clear. And it seems that there wasn't any further investigation by higher authorities done.
That's
quote,
suspicious.
In sport, one of my favorite quotes I've seen lately is, quote, "There's no point in winning if you don't win it fair," British star Adam Peaty said after his foursome wound up 4th to miss the medal stand. I think you know that truth in your heart. So even if you touch and you know you're cheating, you're not winning, right? So for me, if you've been on that and you've been contaminated twice, I think as an honorable person, it means you should be out of the sport. We know sport is not that simple. So yeah, it was a pretty big doping scandal that came before, and I don't know what it is again with this with the Olympics, but it seems that they've abandoned really all of it because the Sochi thing that happened, and the Russian athletes are still competing. And I know you're not supposed to punish the athletes; you should punish the federation. But the federation has cleaned up, won't clean up, refuses to clean up. At some point, you just got to ban the athletes and hope that the athletes put pressure on the government to cheat. So, but for some reason, if it's Russia and if it's China, we try to find some exceptions and some rules and whatnot, like this. Yes, you can still participate. But if it's Canada or a smaller nation, then the hammer falls on you. So I do not know what it is with the refusal to actually just punish Russia and China. But yeah, those nearly 24 elite Chinese swimmers tested for banned substance ahead of Tokyo Games and were allowed to compete with no ramifications whatsoever. There are cheaters all around the world, there's no doubt in my mind, said 1984 Olympic gold medalist Rowdy Gaines, now commentator for NBC Sports. But when it comes systemic, that's a whole different issue.
Mm-hmm.
The World Anti-Doping Agency kept the book closed on the swimmers who tested positive for banned heart medication ahead of the Olympics. 5 of those swimmers went on to win medals, including 3 golds. There. WADA had accepted the explanation of the Chinese anti-doping officials that its athletes had ingested the banned substance through contaminated food at a hotel. World Aquatics, the governing body of swimming, went along with that decision. Quote, "It should have been handled differently for a matter of respect for the entire swimming and sports world," Italian swimmer Niccolò Martineghi said. "The situation needs to be fixed." With 11 swimmers who tested positive ahead of Tokyo set to compete in Paris, criticism of the world's anti-doping regulator only increased. Quote, "If the international sports world continues to have its integrity impacted by the failures at WADA, the next generation isn't going to be able to have the same belief that I once had in the system," Phelps said during recent testimony before the U.S. Congress. "So with this, I urge you, the members of Congress, to engage in the fight against doping. We can uphold the values of fairness and integrity that are the cornerstone of Olympic and Paralympic sport." To that end, the U.S. has launched a criminal investigation into how the Chinese doping cases were handled. Brent Nowicki, the executive director of World Aquatics, has been subpoenaed to testify before Congress. World Aquatics said Monday that the Chinese swimmers going to Paris were undergoing increased drug testing of at least 8 times this year before the Games. But all of this comes too late to make it up to those who may have been cheated out of medals in Tokyo. Take Ledecky, who swam a stellar anchor leg in the 4x200-meter freestyle relay to finish off a time that would have broken the previous world record, only to have a Chinese squad that included Zhang Yufei go even faster by 0.4 of a second to take both the gold and the world record. Zhang was among those who failed the pre-Olympic doping test. Ledecky now knows what a swimmer like Shirley Babashoff, who was dubbed Surly Shirley for griping about the sudden rise of the East Germans in 1976 Montreal Olympics, must have felt like, especially when her suspicions were proven to be correct. Quote, "It's tough to accept as an athlete and now also to feel what it's like to be an athlete who won a silver medal behind some athletes who tested positive," Ledecky told CBS. "I've seen it before with other athletes and always felt for them." The doping revelations are sure to cast a pall over the swimming competition, especially if the Chinese have a strong performance. They didn't have as strong a performance as in past Olympics. They were 4th in the medal table at the Tokyo Games with 3 golds and 6 medals overall, and they are coming off a stellar showing at the 2024 World Championships in Doha, Qatar, with 7 golds and a total of 11 medals. China trailed only the United States at that meet, though it must be noted that many top swimmers skipped the most recent Worlds because of its unusual timing in another year. So yeah, that's going on. The other thing that happened when I'm talking about Russia getting special treatment, because even though it's the Summer Olympics, there's little Winter Olympics news, because the Court of Arbitration for Sport finally came down with this decision about the team figure skating competition from the last Olympics, in which Canada had finished 4th, but Team Russia, female single skater, Kamila Valieva, had been caught with a banned substance. She was 15 at the time in her body, and there were 3 different stories about how it got in her system. And because she was under the age of 16, she had special protection because I think very few people would assume that a 15-year-old on her own would decide, hey, I need to cheat. That someone says, you need to take this. Or maybe didn't even tell her that she was taking it. But the court, so what happened is that when that was found out, they dropped the Russians from gold to bronze because they removed her scores from the team competition. And that brought them to bronze. And Team Canada turned around and said, no, wait a minute. They should be out
of the
completely,
period,
I guess, and we should be bronze. So they put an appeal. Well, the Court of Arbitration for Sport has dismissed a Canadian appeal of the International Skating Union's decision to award the bronze medal in the team figure skating event from the 2022 Beijing Olympics to Russia. The Court for Arbitration of Sport said in a release Friday that the ISU correctly reallocated the points in the event after the retroactive disqualification of Kamila Valieva, which dropped the Russians from 1st to 3rd and elevated the United States to gold and Japan to silver. The Canadian appeal had challenged the ISU decision and argued Canada should have been given points after Valieva's disqualification that would have given it the bronze medal. So basically, in the team competition, if you finish first, you get a certain number of points, second, whatever. So Valieva finished ahead of the Canadian figure skater, single skater. So her points should have been removed, and they're saying that the Canadian should have been moved up and got the 2 extra points for that, which would have put us ahead of Russia. They turn around and says, no, the only thing that we need to do is eliminate our points. Problem is that if you just if it's a team figure skating competition and one member was not eligible to compete, you didn't field a full team. It's not like she skated and got a 0, but still completed the routine. They didn't field. If you're banned from the competition, you didn't field a skater. You fielded an incomplete team. And therefore, you should lose. The COC is disappointed with the decision by CAS to not award Canada the bronze medal for the figure skating team event at Beijing. We believe that under the International Skating Union's rules, the points should have been reallocated following the doping sanction against Russian skater Kamila Valieva, and it is unfortunate that the CAS did not agree. We applaud Team Canada's figure skaters for having endured this lengthy process with grace, and we admire them for their performance on and off the ice. So Valieva's disqualification removed maximum 10 points for each of her 2 events, but that still gave Russia 1 more point than 4th place Canada in the revised standings. And the thing is that Canada's female skater Madeleine Skizas skated the performance of her life in that one. You know, when they say higher, faster, stronger, on that day, she did achieve higher, faster, stronger. So she earned it for us. Wasn't a fluke, wasn't like because she shouldn't have done that well. She skated the performance of her life. And that clearly was not recognized or good enough. Now, this is stuff that we need to stop saying. Skate Canada respects the decision by the Court of Arbitration for Sport regarding the allocation of medals. While we are disappointed that the ruling does not award Canada the bronze medal, we stand by the efforts and performances of our athletes. No, do not respect the decision. Stop respecting the decision. This is once again making special, oh, well, the rule says this, but we found this special little interpretation that we're going to do here in this case, so that Russia, once again, with a reputation, like how many times does Russia have to cheat for you to finally just drop the hammer?
Somebody's getting paid from Putin, is all I can say. You got to remember, the IOC is not exactly a squeaky clean organization.
No, neither is the ISU, remember?
And well, here's the other thing.
There's the whole reason why there's the scoring system changed from 6.0 and everything's reviewed by radio. And once again, it was Canadians that got screwed in that one too. Yeah.
They did finally get the medal out of it. But, you know, one of the things I've suggested.
But they didn't take the medal away from the Russians, though,
no,
did they?
And they should have.
Double
because
gold.
They didn't deserve it. They didn't.
That's what I mean. Again, all of these accommodations and sudden changes of the rule to accommodate Russia over and over again.
It's a Putin payoff. It's got to be. Now, one of the things that I think they should do for any judged sport in the Olympics is start using AI and getting humans out of it altogether. Train an AI to figure out what a proper move is. It can judge it in real time. It can see any errors or imperfections and then score accordingly. I think that would be the way to do it. You could have one that would do the technical, and then the other AI could do the artistic. For figure skating, as an example. For skateboarding, for big air, for that stuff. Things that require judges, replace it with AI. Take the human element out of it, and then there's no possibility of corruption. Somebody said, well, the AI the AI thinks on its own. It thinks on its own. You can't control AI. Which is why we can't totally unleash it.
Yeah.
Well, we could. Well, I'm thinking, Linda, we could train AI to understand artistic merit in figure skating, as an example, or ice dancing, or pairs, male, female. I think that's a possibility. I'm not an expert on AI, so I could be entirely wrong here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it was Rosie DeMano. That might have had a good article on this, but yeah, I can't find it off the. But I had read something on it, and she had a really interesting take on it. She was able to explain the rule. Oh, there we go. Very well. in it. Fallout from the Kamila Valieva figure skating doping scandal at Beijing Olympics is simple. Canada was robbed. So this is Rosie DiMano, a star columnist. And whoops, it seems that this one is under the paywall. So hold on and bear with me for a second while I try to bring it up in another way, where I might be able to access it for you. There you go, kits and cubs. There we go. So Canada gets screwed 6 ways from Sunday. And maybe with this country now held up to the world as cheater, pumpkin eater, that whole stealth drone thing, which very nearly put the kibosh on the women's soccer team, few will shed any tears for the bronze figure skating medal from Beijing that will not be rewarded to Team Canada as it damn well should have been. The Court of Arbitration for Sport has proven to be as cockamamie, wrong-headed, and stubbornly stiff-necked as the International Skating Union. They're both dictatorial potentates, unwilling for unfathomable reasons to properly put the punishment boots to chronic doping chicanery by Russia. Again, wonderful writing. I love that. Here we have everybody agreeing that Kamila Valieva did indeed test positive for a banned substance in a test administered 6 weeks before the Beijing Games, a tiny detail that only became public after the much-heralded figure skating phenom had already propelled Russia to gold in the team event with 2 first-place finishes, short and long programs. Because Valieva was 15 at the time, she was deemed a protected minor, permitted to compete in the following individual competition where she flamed out under the scandal's glare anyway. So in the team competition, she finished first in both of her categories, but when they got to the individual single skate, which is why they tried so hard to keep her in there, so because she was seemed to be a lock for gold for Russia in singles, and the stress of it finally got to her. Again, not fair to do this to a 15-year-old girl. Where she imploded on the ice, on the world stage, with billions of people watching and all the cameras, and we haven't really heard from her ever again. At least that I know of, in terms of competition. During investigations, Valieva was the cock that crowed 3 times, offering 3 versions of how the drug trimetazidine, prescribed to treat angina, banned in sports because it can increase endurance, came to be in her system. Threw her grandfather under the bus, for one thing. He takes the drug for his heart ailment, not true, the Court for Arbitration for Sport would determine, and sometimes he crushes the pills, and this time he must have used that same knife or maybe the chopping board when he prepared a raspberry dessert for Valieva, which he took on the train to the Russian Championships. Or perhaps she complained about security. Somebody had slipped the drug into her fruit thingy when she left it in a fridge in the athlete's lounge. The ISU then decided to strip Team Russia of gold by deleting Valieva's scores from the medal math. Any person with half a brain reading ISU rule number 353, quote, competitors having finished the competition and who initially placed lower than the disqualified competitor will move up accordingly in their placement, would take that to mean march up the podium for the 3 teams that finished behind Russia. Because she didn't finish the competition, because she was never allowed to be in the competition in the first place.
Might have something to do with it. I'm just speculating.
Yes. Which in fact is how the U.S. sitting silver emerged with gold in a decision released by the ISU this past January, 2 years after the Beijing Games. Third place Japan was elevated to silver, but Russia, while scraped back to bronze, still gets a medal, although no Russian's Winter Games version will be around to accept the hardware when a ridiculously delayed figure skating medal ceremony is held here, smack in the middle of the Summer Games at Champions Park on Wednesday. Russia, instead of being after the fact punted from the event and expunged from those records, gets bronze. Fourth place Canada gets bupkis. Madeleine Skitsas, who skated her heart out for Canada that week, pulled her compatriots into the final 5 countries by placing 3rd in the team event short and 5th in the free segment. That should have seen her points tally rise from 16 to 18 when all scores were tallied, Canada topping out at 55, just clear of Russia when Valieva's 20 points were knocked out, ergo Canada bronzed. But no, the ISU took the position, applying another rule it pulled out of its arse that didn't adjust for those crucial 2 points added, and the ISU in its review was willing to die on that hill, concluding early this year that the wandering 2 points could not be added to Canada's score, quote, because of applicable rules and principles that are specific to the Olympic team event. And on Thursday, the CAS endorsed that finding, rejecting the appeal that had been filed by the Canadian Olympic Committee on behalf of Skitsas, Piper Gillis, Paul Poirier, Kristen Moore-Towers, Michael Marinaro, Eric Bradford, and Vanessa James. The Court for Arbitration of Sport, Tall Foreheads, aligning with the ISU, they're both based in Lausanne, Switzerland, takes the position that while Rule 353 can mean adjusting placements, it doesn't inherently mean points will be adjusted. That does a solid for the ISU, which argued that the rules don't allow for points redistribution even after an athlete has been disqualified. What a load of bollocks.
Yeah.
The ruling the IOC chimed in arrived, quote, just in time to still be able to make the medal allocation for gold and silver possible during the Olympic Games Paris 2024. Well, bully for America and Japan. Quote, there are no athletes or teams representing Russia in Paris as the Russian Olympic Committee is currently suspected, the IOC said in a statement. For this and for logistical reasons, there cannot be a medal ceremony here in Paris for the ROC team that got the bronze medal. There may be no Russians on the podium step come Wednesday. Only 15 Olympians from Russia in Paris formally designated individual neutral athletes. Russia, nation non grata for its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, but Canada has been afforded no invitation either because no medal, which didn't sit well with the Canadian Olympic Committee, but what's a National Olympic Committee to do? And then, the statement that I mentioned, the COC is disappointed with the decision by the CS not to award the bronze medal. The COC said in a release statement, we believe that under the International Skating Union's rules, the point should have been reallocated, blah, blah, blah. Such politesse with inner sanctums of global sports. Wouldn't say merde if they had a mouthful. So I will. You're full of crap. Court for Arbitration of Sports.
Wow.
Sports writers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention. Mo Ahmed.
Oh, yeah. He just missed the 10,000.
Oh.
Came in fourth. He was so close.
If there's one Canadian guy. Yes.
He still has the 5,000 to run.
And it's a stronger event.
It is a stronger event.
One guy on the whole Canadian Olympic team that I'm pulling for.
Yeah.
It's Mo Ahmed. He does have an Olympic medal. He did get silver in Tokyo.
Correct, for the 5,000, yeah.
But it was like sixth, often. And his first sixth in a couple of Olympics ago got upgraded to fourth because people doped and got eliminated. Because this time, but literally, the definition of leaving it all on the field of play, the visual reputation, he is it.
He should medal in the 5,000, possibly the gold. He could do the gold. I'd love to see him win the gold in the 5,000. He really wants to win the 10,000, though. I saw him interviewed post-race by Devin, and he was like, I'm bound and determined to do this. So I'm like, well, go for it, man. I hope you can.
Now, there was a ton of contact in that race. I'm surprised nobody got disqualified. There were people touching, moving, pushing like this.
The 10,000 meters is a grueling race, too.
Yeah. And people can understand that, right? Because a lot of people go and run to 10K for exercise and practice. Like people know how hard that is. And I think this is one of the reasons why this man gets more people run at 10 kilometers in Canada on a daily basis than run 100 meters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So people understand that, right? They know how hard it is. So this guy has mad respect. His post-race interview, brilliant. Dropped an F-bomb. Some prudes might get their knickers up in a snit about that. No. The Olympics are the ultimate in reality TV. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, the crushing of coming so close.
Yeah.
Like this. But he literally said, I ran a fucking great race.
He did.
And he did.
Yeah.
No shame in that game whatsoever.
No, I'm really pulling for him in the 5,000. I hope he can. I'd love to see him win the gold. I'd be happy if he gets a medal, but I'd love to see him win.
Me too. He deserves it. He has been so consistent over 3 Olympic cycles.
Yeah. I think he will win the gold in the 5,000. I really do believe he can do it because he was that close to a bronze in the 10,000, which is not his specialty. And again, it's a grueling race. So let's shift gears for a minute before we wrap it up. I got a couple of photos I want to share with you. This first one is charming and delightful, and you'll get a lot. Why? Who's that?
I know.
It's Billie Jean King met the incomparable Snoop Dogg. Both of us were born and raised in Long Beach, California, and graduated from Long Beach Polytechnic High School. Long Beach, California, forever in our hearts. Snoop and Billie Jean King.
Yes, Eddie had like pictures like this. I was pleased to meet Billie Jean and her wife.
Yes.
Like this. Because a lot of people, and the only reason I'm mentioning this is that, rap and the gay thing, right? There's history. And then there's a lot of things like within the Black community, stereotypically, particularly in the United States, being openly gay or like this. So to see Snoop Dogg being with Billie Jean King like this and going like, this is my girl.
Yeah. Well, and so I what was it I saw a couple of years ago? There was a photo because he and Martha Stewart are actually good friends.
Oh yeah, for real.
So I saw a photo of the two of them together, and the photo tagged was, one of these is a convicted felon, the other is Snoop Dogg. One of these two people is a convicted felon.
Right.
I'm like, that's funny. She's got more street cred than Snoop.
Yes.
And he said that.
Martha's gangster.
Yeah. Here's another one for you, which is ironic. And I'll just leave it at ironic. You make your own decision. Tabby G sent me this one. This is new Ford stickers.
Yes.
ER closed. Come on, folks. You got your license plate rebates.
Yeah.
And you cut more money from the healthcare budget this year.
Yes. I do not like that man.
No.
I do not like that man one bit. He's gotta go. He's gotta. Oh, and apparently all the backhoes and all those equipment at Ontario Place, they're now tearing down buildings.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's going through. He's pushing it. He's going to make it happen. He doesn't care.
This
now
is
I have a
vandalism.
29-second clip for you that I think you'll like in case you haven't seen this. I don't know if you have or not. This was posted very recently, like within the hour. I don't know when this took place, though. Possibly yesterday. I could be wrong, but here.
Awesome. Take care.
Hey, boss.
Hey.
What does Pride mean to you?
Pride is about coming together and celebrating what it means to be Canadian in our full diversity, in our respect for each other, in the freedom to be who you are, to love who you love. This is what Pride's about. It's worth celebrating. It's worth fighting for. It's all about being Canadian.
It's in Vancouver.
Yep.
Hi. Pride. Pleasure. Glad to see you all representing here.
Yep. And it was a surprise. Nobody expected him to go. He took some time from his vacation and stopped in at Pride.
Yeah, because he is on vacation.
We are still waiting for the leader of the opposition to tell us what he was going to do for Pride last year.
We're also waiting for the leader of the opposition to congratulate a single Canadian athlete for their accomplishments in the Olympics. Touché, sir. No commentary from him, just up there telling us how extreme the Prime Minister is.
Weird.
Weird.
He cannot be happy.
No, he's miserable.
This is a man. Pierre Poilievre is a man who is incapable of joy. He's just incapable of joy. That's weird. Again. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed.
Yes?
I have one more thing to share with you.
Please, go ahead.
Then we'll wrap it up, and I do have a good Easter egg. Oh, do I have it? Where did it go? Oh, I lost my Easter egg. Oh, well, let me share this with you, because this is sort of a retort to what we talked about earlier with the Member of Parliament from Oakland. So this is from, who's this from? Jay Hunter on the Twitter, Mr. Joe KER604. And I'll share this on the screen and read it to you. When you mock the passing of Gord Downie and the emotions Canada felt in that moment, you stoop to a new low, showing what you are. This is what the CPC have become under Pierre Poilievre. It's probably because he loved our country and didn't spend every day shitting on it. And here's a picture of Gord Downie in performing on his final tour in full costume on stage and says, I love this country. I love my idea of this country. And you mock the Prime Minister for openly weeping about the death of that man. Michelle, seek therapy immediately.
Yeah.
You've got a few screws loose.
Behind this cup, I got a little bit of sign language going on for you.
I don't think you'd appreciate it.
I Why do these people why can't these people not be happy unless they're being ugly?
Some people just like to be miserable.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed, sir.
All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. Yes, Saucy, I think Pierre may have made a fatal mistake here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's certain things you don't touch. Gord Downey might be one of them. Yep. I think you might have a point there. Remember, word of mouth is priceless. It's like coming for Dolly Parton in the United States, right? You don't come for Gord in Canada. You don't come for Dolly in the United States. You just don't.
No.
Word of mouth is priceless, and we want you to spread the word. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. And if you would like to support us, thanks to the Ray Girl, you can make sure you don't miss an episode. Scan the QR code that Mr. Grizzly is going to put up there for us. That will bring you to our pod page, podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, boom, right in your inbox. And you get it. You don't even have to go looking for it. It just comes right to you. Hey, we like to help. And if you would like to help us in other ways, then you need to make like Kit Elaine and have a beyond awesome day. But before you do, remember to surf on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page and smash the button before you leave. Like, share, subscribe. Click 1, click 2, click 3. Make us happy. We love it very much. And if you would like to support us in other ways, the QR code that's up there by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our coffee page where you can find our tip jar, where you can help contribute to us putting on this show that you like so very much. And, you know, it has been hot and not a lot of rain over the past few days. So we need to be moistened. So if you can help with that, we would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But remember, the gift of your attention is the gift that we cherish the most, and your gift of participation. So we love to hear from you. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is our email address, or leave us a comment on our YouTube page, on our Twitter feed @TrueEager, or our Facebook page. And we do try to read everything. We're not always able to respond, but we do read everything. Again, story suggestions, ideas. Thank you to everybody who sends them to us. That we really appreciate that as well. So it's your show too. So when you let us know what it is that you want us to talk about, that helps us out a lot. And, well, you know, your Queen Beaver lives to serve.
I found my Easter egg.
Good. All right. Because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs, throw on some red and white and sit in front of your TV and cheer a little. Go get yourself some happy. There's some good stuff that Canadians will be doing over the next couple of days. The medal count is already quite nice for Canada. The most I think we had was 24. We are currently at 17. We still got about a week to go. I think the company, the same company that does ratings for TV, Nielsen, had predicted originally about 24 and then scaled that back to 20. So we're already 3 behind, and that's with, right, so many fourth place. If you count the fourth places alone, there's at least 8 or 9 more potential medals that we just came really close to. And then when you count things like Damian Warner, who was a lock for gold, like in the 20, there's like Damian Gold is going to be one for sure. Well, that didn't happen. That means somebody else had to pick up the slack.
And who was the other Canadian? I'm blanking on his name. The other Canadian was expected to win the gold, and he had to drop out from an injury from months ago that he still hadn't recovered from. Thank you, Chris Lepage. So between Warner and Lepage, those two were going to rally for the, challenge each other and push each other for the gold. Lepage was injured and couldn't compete at all, and after he blew the pole vault, he bowed out of the javelin because I think he's probably suffering from injury as well. So you got to remember, the decathlon
is rough.
It is not easy.
It's rough.
It's really hard on the body. Yep. There's 10 events. They're all incredibly difficult events to do. So,
And Warner like this, like his 100-meter time is world class.
Yeah.
Like he could compete in the 100 individually, right? So no, he throws some stuff out there, and
Yeah, we should. You're right.
Tamara Tebow. Yes, we should get women's hammer throw too. Yeah, Tamara Tebow, the boxer who was scheduled, like a lot of people thought she would win gold, knocked out in the first round. Shady El Nahas was a medal prospect, knocked out in the first round. Team Judo knocked out in the first round. So there was a lot of people that were considered locks. So that means there's a lot of Canadians that stepped up, like that fencer, Eleanor Harvey, right?
Yes.
So that's the beauty of the Olympics.
Well, and there's always these surprise stories that come out of nowhere. I mean, come on, Penny Alexiak in Rio in 2016 won a gold.
Nobody saw that coming.
No one saw that coming. They just had her there to get her experience. She won a gold medal.
Yep.
Hello.
That's what I mean. Yep. Nobody saw that coming. So, like I said, our athletes, they're rocking it.
Yeah.
They're so rocking it. Okay. But so far, it's looking pretty good to hit the 20 and then some. That was predicted. So a above par performance from our athletes. They're really doing us proud. So if you could take a moment to just like wear some red and white and cheer, or send them a nice message on social media or whatnot, like us. We're proud of you, win or lose, all that kind of stuff. Let's do some good. So that way, let's cheer for our own. They are wonderful ambassadors for us. And that's what I will say. I won't touch on the other stuff for democracy. Just do that today.
Just do that.
Just do that today. All right. From the Beaver Lodge. It could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And don't let the bot farms get you down.
They're not real.
They're not real. Twitter is not real life.
No, it's not.
Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom?
Yeah, we're going to continue. I don't know if they're words of wisdom, but we are going to continue to name and shame and expose those who do terrible things like Michelle Rumpel-Garner did. We're going to do that on this show because we want you to know what these people who represent you, that we pay, are doing.
And what they say about you behind your back.
We need you to know this so you can make an informed decision at the ballot box. And don't just think we're picking on the cons. It's not that. It's just they're the ones who are doing the horrible things the most.
The most often.
We call out Jug Meat when he does stuff. We called out liberals the other day. We will call out anybody who does something bad every single time. That's never going to let up. I don't care what your political stripe is. You do something that is harmful to people, to vulnerable people, to Canadians, to the country, we're going to name and shame you every single time.
One standard for all.
That's
not
right.
On a sliding scale.
No, it's the same standard for everyone. You do something bad, we're going to talk about it.
You treat people that you're supposed to represent with disdain and contempt or disrespect.
We're going to talk about it.
Sorry, because I had a discussion with someone who's a friend of Anita Vandenbeld. It's like, Anita did nothing wrong. No. Like this, and it's like, yeah, she did. She didn't start it. She didn't set up the meeting, whatnot. But she proposed that the meeting be about something else. They chose to discuss a process argument instead of having the meeting on a particular sensitive subject, and she refused to apologize unreservedly. There are things objectively she could have done better. Well, I guess you're really partisan, are you? Really? Because you're the one that's saying that she did nothing wrong, and I'm saying nobody put the survivors first. Everybody could have done something better. I think objectively, that makes you the partisan, the strident partisan. If you can't recognize, now it says, hey, listen, I understand she's your friend, so you're not objective. But that didn't matter. Because I wasn't willing to put 100% of the blame on the three conservative mean girls.
No. There's blame to be spread around.
For different reasons and different things, but there was blame to go around. I was the partisan. No, clearly you are. If you can't recognize that she could have done one thing better, now she handled her. Conservatives handed out bait. She bit.
And we're not asking for perfection. We don't expect it. Just try harder.
Just realize when you've done something wrong, own up to it, and then commit to doing better. Like a normal human.
It's not that
Don't
difficult.
be weird.
It's not that difficult. It really isn't. All right.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.
So I'm going to revisit something we discussed earlier.
Ooh, please do.
And I wanna put this out there that I think when they hired the bot farm for Polyev, they got a free bowl of soup with it. I don't know if they went to Fiverr for this bot farm, but holy crap. You gotta see this. Okay, this is from Heather Moe & Co. There are, as the thread below says, hundreds of these fakes claiming to have attended Polyev's rally. There's more than ample evidence that never Polyev and his backers use inauthentic online manipulation. Are these foreign-backed ops? Sure looks that way. So there's a couple of things here, right? We see this, and we went through those four, but let's take a look at this one. There are some odd slip-ups that reveal this is not a domestic bot farm. Bots are just software. So who had these bots programmed is the question. The locations accidentally alluded to are not typical. This one is in Latvia. Okay.
Okay, Jelgava.
Then there's this one. It took its avatar from a very strange Indonesian Instagram account. Its location says Hawaii, but has wedding packages available from Garut, Indonesia. Wedding packages.
Wow.
And this one is all over the place. Its handle claims UK, then in Portuguese. It says it covers story in Rio de Janeiro, while claiming to be in New Jersey, but somehow attending a Polyev rally in a small northern Ontario town.
I've seen that one specifically.
Yeah. Bots using the same phrase, just returned from Pierre Polyev's rally in Kirkland Lake, and I'm still buzzing from the energy, are still at it today. This is from 45 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. And I tried to look at one of those big lists and get the names out because I figured, hey, what a great way to pre-block. A lot of them have already disappeared. You can't find the accounts before. They were just for that, and then they're gone. But the tweet stays up.
And a great number of them you have to look at have 9 followers.
Yep.
1 follower.
Yep.
Join July 2024.
Yep. New account.
Join July 2024.
New accounts, low followers.
Low to no accounts. Just joined this month. It's a bot farm, and it's not a very good one. They're really bad at this, aren't they?
And it's just like, what message are you supposed to get by the fact that you have to manufacture? It's like, his support is not real.
Clearly.
So, yeah. The only thing I wanted to mention before we go, because I forgot to mention it when it happened, but August 1st, Emancipation Day.
Oh, yes. That's right. We blanked out, didn't we?
Yes, we did completely blank out. And to all the kids who saw the National Association with Black Journalists interview with Donald Trump, I still haven't figured out yet what it is I turned black, but I'm thinking about it. So
let me know when you figure it out. I appreciate that.
It might have been
so I'm in on the loop.
It might have been at that time I was in a luggage store in Toronto, and some people were following me.
That must have been
that might have been the day I turned black.
Probably.
Not sure yet, but let me think about that.
Okay, get back to me. I'd like to know. Can I do that too? Can I do that? Probably not.
You have my permission. Tell me when you turned black, Mr. Grizzly.
I will do that. All righty. I'll see you later.